You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Alrighty now. It's that big weekend. Juneteenth weekend. The weekend that so many people are ruining right now. But I'm trying to, act like it's all good. But I'm really not actually. It's been a week. It's been a weekend. But it's we'll get into it. I have so much thoughts about Juneteenth. And as you all know, I grew up in Houston. So seeing the rest of the country really get into Juneteenth has been, I guess the word is bittersweet, or maybe it's more like, this ain't it. But there's so much to say about it. So before I get into all that, I just want to go into how the week has been otherwise. It's been a lot. It's been a lot in a good way. It's just something left and right, events, breaking news. The world is like going on like full speed ahead. In my professional aspect, it's great. But in my personal one, it's good too. But it's like also just all the other things. It's just like, I need this to calm down. And it's not about like me at least, but it's just like I think about everything. Like, for example, like we're chilling. Everybody's like, okay, the road is great. Then Beyoncé just emerges late at night with some breaking news. And then it's like, oh shit, this done threw off my whole day. and I think that's the thing. It's just like, can we just have like a nice, clean rollout with just information for everybody to just be able to process? I don't know. Sometimes I get annoyed with, the celebrities because I don't know. Maybe it's just my millennialness coming out. But can people just like slow down, because sometimes surprises are not always what we need at the moment. Maybe we was trying to have the day go smooth and then everything changed, especially when you're in the media business. Like imagine when you're going in and saying, okay, this is going to be the day that this is going to happen. Let's see what happens. And then everyone's like begging for the world's attention. I mean, that's how it feels when you're in the news world. Celebrities are like, the government is like, look, we're going to do these hearings today. And then some celebrity do something that demands your attention. And it's like, oh my goodness, but we're trying to focus on this. And honestly, you could tell that the world shifts views based on how things transpire on social media because of what's shifting and whose attention is going where. And I'm not saying this is all about Beyonce. I'm just saying just like the way that our lives are moving now. It just seems like there's always something demanding and pulling our attention even more. Drake tried to do that and it backfired this week. But again, this is the stuff I'm talking about. Like, it's just always something. And you just want people to just sit down real quick and let's let some of the things that are already on the agenda go through. So, what do I know? But as far as my personal life goes, this week was great. This weekend, I took some time. I was just chilling. Mr. Johnson and I did like a day date, which was cute. We went to go see this play called Fairview, which was incredible. It's not the Kimmel Center. It's at the Wilma Theater, which is across from the Kimmel Center and that area. Great play. I cannot recommend it enough. It won the Pulitzer Prize in 2019, I believe. And what's even more interesting about it is that the director is James, who just won the Pulitzer for Best Drama for his other play that he has, who just released, and he won that like a month ago. So I think it's full circle. A black director directs a black play that wins the Pulitzer, and the year that this play that he directs that won a Pulitcer a couple years ago, he wins one. So it's kind of cool to see that. And James is a black queer playwright, director, theater legend. in my opinion. Definitely in Philadelphia. Worldwide, soon, I see a Tony in his future. I see a lot of things in his future. He's just an incredible force of nature in the arts. And a lot of times, you will think sometimes looking at a lot of theater, you think that it's oftentimes a lot of white folks. But the recent Tony Awards that just happened proved everyone wrong, okay? Because woo, those winners, that music. So A Strange Loop did win Best Musical. Michael Jackson. Well, his name is not his name is Michael Jackson, but he has to put, just like Michael B. Jordan, he has to put an initial in the middle of his name because that name has already been famous. So he has to give it his own spin. So he goes by I believe it's Michael R. Jackson, and A Strange Loop is his Pulitzer Prize winning play that won him also a lovely, lovely, lovely Tony. And it won Best Musical. And it also helped Jennifer Hudson reach EGOT, which is, she has now won an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. But I'm going to have a little side petty moment. So she is the second Black woman to ever achieve EGOT in the history. Other Black winners include Whoopi Goldberg, who's the first, and John Legend, and Barbara Streisand, Rita Moreno. Yes, it's really hard to achieve EGOT. Frank Sinatra has achieved it. Couple others, but not too many have had an EGOT win. I believe Audrey Hepburn has also reached EGOT. It's not easy, but what I will say, and I personally predict Viola Davis will reach EGOT next year. Again, talking out of term, maybe predicting out loud, but here's my thoughts on this. So here's why I think it's kind of awkward about Jennifer Hudson winning EGOT. Yes, she's won all four, but the whole point of EGOT was this narrative around expressing that a person is a triple threat, that they have this artistic value, that they can transcend their actual God-given talent in those particular areas: singing, acting for film, acting for the stage, or being a great theater artist, that can dance and act throughout theater. So like if you look at Rita Moreno's EGOT, right, she won for performance. For example, Barbara Streisand's EGOTs, like Barbara Streisand won a Tony for acting. She won a Grammy for singing. She won an Oscar for acting in a film. She won a Emmy for performance on a television special. Like this is what it represents. But a lot of people have been reaching EGOT for things that don't necessarily translate to some type of performance in said arena. So they've been winning a lot for producing. So Jennifer Hudson won her EGOT for her production for being a producer with a bunch of other people on The Strange Loop. But yes, she won a producing Tony. But producing or being a producer that's throwing your money and slapping your name on a production that a bunch of other people did as well, kind of is what did you really have to do with it? You just kind of, made an investment that, made a show great, but that Tony doesn't reflect that, in that way. Not in the way that it speaks to EGOT. It makes sense to give a Tony to a producer, but it doesn't, to me, make sense. The bragging rights of just being I won an Emmy, EGOT, in a way that I think that intention of what the message of EGOT represents is there. But that's not just her. I mean, a lot of people did that. John Legend, won EGOT. He reached EGOT a couple years ago, but he had won a Tony. I think he won his Tony and he won his Emmy for production purposes. He won a Grammy for his music and his singing. He won the Oscar for Best Original Song. But those other two were production based. And even Jennifer Hudson's Emmy is for being an executive producer, and it's a daytime Emmy for, something. So it's just, we're just throwing out EGOT a lot. And I'm just kind of I believe, right, and I'm hoping, right, Viola Davis, to me, when she wins this Grammy for Best Audio Recording, for narrating her book, Finding Myself, like, to me, that is going to be um, an example of EGOT, because her book is called Finding Me. I'm sorry, I always say Finding Myself. It's Finding Me. And she's won an Emmy, right, for How to Get Away with Murder, Best Lead Actress in a Drama Series, first Black woman to do that. She won the Tony. She won two Tonys, actually. One including Best Lead Actress in a play, second Black woman to do that, for Fences. And then she also won a featured actress in a play Tony as well. Both August Wilson plays. Just putting it out there. And then she won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for Fences. And she could win more Oscars down the road, in my opinion. So, Emmy, Tony, Oscar for acting, for performance, right? And this Grammy will be for audio, for actually using, reading, recording. Like, she's actually speaking and using a talent to which she's winning the Grammy for and it could be eligible for. That's EGOT to me. That's showing that triple threat, like, energy, right? Because she slapped herself and produced Drake ain't winning. Well, who knows? He might win a Grammy one of these days again. But if she slapped herself on Beyonce's album and won a Grammy for it, we'll kind of be like, okay, what did you do? You just was in the studio somewhere smiling, saying, go be. Like, I just feel like that's what it is. Like, I don't know. That's just, yeah. So, it's going to be interesting, though, because Will Smith's book, his, autobiography, with the co-writer, it's nominated. I mean, first of all, let me be clear. Nothing, the Grammy nomination has not been out. This is just me predicting out loud. I could see Will Smith also being nominated in that category. And before the slap, I think he was a shoe-in to win. Now, post-slap, I think that Viola Davis is going to definitely probably win. But it is hard because Will is beloved by the hip hop community, but it's also other music fans and people voting. So I feel like if they see Viola Davis in that category, it's easy to give it to Viola because everybody knows that this will be the award. This will be the Grammy to complete her EGOT. So I think that there's a lot of interest in her winning it. So, and if I was a voting member of the Recording Academy, I even though personally I'm not one of these people that's piling on Will Smith, I just don't think he deserves to be completely, there have been people who have done far worse. And what he did to me, and given who he did it to, I'm not one of those people in the camp that's like, oh my God, Will Smith had to be banished from every award show everywhere. That's bullshit. So I'm not for that. But that being said, personally, I'm going with Viola Davis because I want her to get EGOT, and who doesn't love her? And I just think she does a better job narrating her book than Will. And Will won his Best Lead Actor Oscar, which we need a Best Lead Actress Oscar for Viola Davis because she'll be the first Black woman and also, I think, one of the few actresses in history to have a triple crown that has all three leads in respective fields. Like, no one has done that. Meryl Streep has not done that. I don't think anyone has done that. Like, get a lead actress Tony, get a lead actress Emmy for a TV show, and a lead actress Oscar. Haven't seen it. So I'm just, listen, this is also a Viola Davis stand account and also an award show stand account. So just, if you don't care about award shows, learn to. They have their fun. But you just can't take them too seriously. But at the same time, they matter. Do they? Weird, awkward, who knows? But while I'm on this topic, I will say that when I was watching the Tonys, there was one performance that stood out to me. Joaquina Kalukango won the 2002 Tony Award for Best Lead Actress in a Musical for Paradise Square. If you have not seen that performance, okay, the one where she's screaming, it's great. She's screaming about, she just let it burn and that musical. Listen, I'm sitting back watching all this and I'm just like, Mr. Johnson, Well, let me clarify. Tina Turner, the actress who won Best Lead Actress Tony, won last year for Tina Turner, the musical. So no one thought Paradise. I hadn't heard about Paradise Square in this kind of way. I heard the musical was pretty underwhelming across the board, but that her performance was the breakthrough, and she does this like 8 times a week. So I have to give it to her. She deserved it. I saw her performance. And when you say performance that good, you say, I don't know who else is nominated, but I hope she wins because if she doesn't, I don't know how this works. I mean, was it going to be a Tanya Pinkett experience for Pinkett's experience where you saw her in Carolina Change back in the day, killing it that night, and then, Wicked wins, which wasn't a bad win. Okay, Adina Menzel, Wicked was great as well. But anywho, so that was a stand. And of course, Michael R. Jackson, who follows me on Twitter and been following me since he was his poster in 2020. So I've been a fan for A Strange Loop. I gotta go see it, but I'm seeing Tina next month, so that's not a issue for me. But anywho, I'm just staying away. But yeah, I've been really watching plays and going out to plays. I haven't been to the movies lately. I mean, I haven't really seen anything at the movies. I haven't seen anything coming out that's just like, I gotta go see it. Just like, I mean, with streaming in the mix too, it's like, I'll wait for this to come out on streaming, like that Batman film, which was like, okay. I don't know. I think I'm moving out. I mean, maybe, like Oscar season took a lot of time, right? So I feel like Oscar season, the films coming out for this year's lineup seem to be fun. I know there's a few coming out in the summer that might be worth seeing, like this Elvis biopic, but I've heard mixed reviews about it. Haven't seen it yet, but I've heard mixed reviews. There's Lightyear, which I don't think is a necessary Toy Story film we need to make. Apparently, the critics agree with me. It looks like they're just selling shit and raising their IP. It's fine. Jurassic Park, like all these action ass movies. I'll let the straights have that. I need, everything and everything all at once. Now that was a good film. Like I was happy to see that. Right, that's something that's just special. But these other movies, it's just like I'm good. I'll wait till they get on streaming. I'm not pressed to run to the movies to see them. That new Jordan Peele movie called Nope, might see that just because it's Jordan Peele. But other movies coming out, I'm not running to see them. I've seen a lot of streaming promos for other movies coming out streaming, biopic stuff coming out in October. There's a Marilyn Monroe biopic. I'm not saying that I don't like Marilyn Monroe. I'm just saying, I don't know. I'm tired of these cliche Hollywood. I don't know. I just want some. I don't know. It's the same shit. Like they're never lying when they say the Oscars love itself. Like Hollywood loves itself. It's like I'm so sick of these movies. It's the same biopics. It's the same biopics of people. Like, can we get some other shit going on? Like, I mean, I appreciate Gaslit but again, Watergate for the 5,000th time. Elvis has had a biopic, a TV biopic, mind you, but just like this is just like the same shit. Can we get something different, please? So I'm not really crazy about the movie. So I've been going to see plays, going to see musicals. I've been falling in love with Kimmel Center, the Arden, Woman Theater. I've been just going out to see actual productions. I find them more exciting. While it costs more than a movie ticket, it's better to support the arts in that way. A lot of these actors on this stage are going to grow off to Broadway and the cinema. And you just want to support like raw local talent. Like I just think that's how I'm feeling right now. So, my book, good things are happening. I have to be quiet to a certain degree for a brief period on some things before I tell them myself. You all have been asking some questions and you all have been seeing some things and you all have been sniffing and you've been good sniffing. You've been sniffing me like Beyoncé. I like it. But then you ask me questions and I'm like, I can't say anything. So I can't say anything. But if you've been sniffing around and looking at certain things, you might have seen some things and I have no comment. That's all I can say. But what I will say is that I do have this dope promo. I got a box of some really dope cards that the book publishers made and designed are these like handout cards I can give out, which I'm going to give out at conventions I'm going to this year. So the NLC convention is in July in Philadelphia. So I'll be passing out some of those there. And then when I go to Vegas for the NABJ convention, the first week of August, I'm going to be passing those out there. Now, some of my friends and folks I see, I'll give y'all some in person, some of these handouts, but I really want to give these to people that are in media, that are folks who have not had access to the book. What I love about this promo card is that there's a QR code on the back, so people can simply use the QR code and it takes you straight to where you can buy a book. Now, of course, you listeners and my closest fans and followers, you've already purchased the book, but you might have to purchase something else in addition to that. Ooh, look, I'm using my inner Beyoncé capitalist queen moment. But anywho, the QR code is included on there, which is something that I was like so excited about, something I wanted, because we are in a QR code society now. Like, I like it. I mean, sometimes it used to annoy me in the very beginning, especially when it comes to food and menus. I feel like if I'm at a nice restaurant, don't ask me to use a QR code. Okay, I use QR codes at happy hours, patios. Like Mr. Johnson and I was at Jet Wine Bar, which is so fun. We tried these Pride, oh goodness, these Pride flights of wine. And it was like 6 different flavors and colors, and literally they were the natural colors. Like there was like a rosé pink, there was a red, there was like an orange. It was like a whole spectrum of like various colors of certain wines. And proceeds, of course, went to the William Way Center, which the executive director is Chris Bartlett, who's a big listener to this podcast. So yes, Chris, we both went and got our jet wine flights, and of course support the William Way Center, the William Way LGBTQ Center. Let me just say that, because it is for us and it is doing incredible work. So if you are one of these straights that are listening to this podcast and want to figure out how to support LGBTQ nonprofits, support the William Way LGBT Center. It's the easiest place to support. They're legit. They'll take your money and they'll put the money in great places and create great spaces. They've included, when I was covering neighborhood racism and there were Black and brown organizers from the community that needed space to facilitate important conversations and dialogue, it was the William Way LGBT Center that provided that space to us community members for free and without any hesitation or reservation. And it was at a time where a lot of like nonprofits in the community, in the neighborhood, were not trying to support us and was not trying to get in the middle or discuss those topics. They provided a space to do that. That's why a place like the William Way LGBT Center allows it, because they allowed, first of all, they didn't have straight people in gay people's business. They let us have our conversations in-house in a space for us. And that is important. Like, that is very important. And so when I think about the story and I think about those experiences, I do remember where we convened and who did that. And that was the great leadership of Chris Bartlett and the great leadership of his wonderful staff and people who just gave us that space at a time where it was not popular to do that. So that's why you need a William Way Center, and that's why you need to support the William Way Center. So if you're looking for an LGBTQ organization to support that is local, that is doing the work for all of us, donate to the William Way Center. Shameless plug, but I just gotta say it, right? And they've been so great this Pride. Like a lot of things that I've went to have been supporting them. Sofitel, Drag, Brunch. I was there, remember, a couple of weeks ago. The proceeds from there was going to support the William Way Center. I think everyone just loves the William Way Center. So, yes. So, support them. I was just like, we had those flights. What else did we do? We went to see that play. The book is coming. That's what I keep saying. I have to keep saying the book is coming. But I think you already know that. I was about to have a Freudian slip. I had to catch myself. Because sometimes I'm so intimate on this mic that I'm thinking, I'm just talking to myself and a friend. Which I am. You all listening are friends. People have told me listening to the podcast that it feels like I'm talking to them and them alone. Yeah, it's like that. But then there are times I have to realize, okay, this mic is going to thousands of listeners, and I have to recognize that every listener of this podcast is not necessarily a fan. Some are ops, so I have to be mindful about what I drop. But I say all to say that I'm excited about this weekend. It's still going, enjoying this 4-day holiday the best way I guess I can. Um, going to a cookout or two or three. Probably just gonna be about one. But you know how everybody like, oh, come to my cookout. It's like, I don't know about that. But I am having fun. It's going to be a good time. So, and next week is going to be exciting for various reasons, but can't tell you that until the next episode. So, here we are. Um, So let's get into it. The January 6th hearings, everybody's been asking me, what do I think about it? What do I think about it? I mean, duh, we knew this shit already. That's part of how I feel about it. But I swear, I don't know. I guess for journalists like myself and other news outlets, mainstream outlets, I think they are just happy to be able to put this stuff out without it being an opinion piece or an analysis. Because a lot of times journalists do feel constrained to be able to say something. So we're constrained from publishing things that we pretty much know are true, but we can't because of the fact that it hasn't been all the way confirmed. Sources may not be talking to us on record. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand. There are a lot of stories and stuff that we know about. There's a lot of shit I know about that happens, but I can't publish it because a lot of times it's either off the record or there's not enough supporting information for me to put it out there without the threat of potentially being sued or anything else. So a lot of times you just have to sit there. But right now, any journalist who was out there or was covering January 6th or was getting intel, this is like okay, everything that we knew is now coming out to the light. And that's why they've been with the quickness trying to make sure there's headlines. There's been a lot of viewers. People have been watching this on a very massive scale. Millions of people have been following the hearings. And it's interesting that it's happening on the 50th anniversary of Watergate, which there's a lot of interesting symbolism there. However, folks back in the Watergate era are saying that these hearings and this stuff is a lot harder because back then no one was disputing the truth. We're here dealing with people that the truth, evidence, and everything is coming out, and there's still people out here calling it a mass conspiracy and will not believe it. That is some hard shit to process, right? Like that, even though this hearing is a bipartisan committee and there's all this stuff, people are still sitting there like, that's all lies, bullshit. Because people are at that point now where folks are not, see, this is what I was trying to tell people about white people specifically. It's never been about proving a goddamn thing. It's been about who was going to stand up with a bully pulpit and really defend fuck shit regardless of facts or fiction. They've been looking for a bully that was unapologetic, that had no political correctness, that was going to have the ability to stand on stupid so that they can take over. That's what they wanted. Donald Trump represents that to a lot of Republicans and GOP folk. That is what they believe in. They believe that, look, they've wanted to take the country back a long time ago. They hate this diversity inclusion. They hate drag queens. They hate black people. They hate immigrants. They hate women. They hate Jewish people. Let's keep it 100. They hate a lot of people but themselves, right? So they've been wanting to take this country back for a long time. The truth of the matter is that for so long, there was no white leader, right, that could get to that level to be a straight up white supremacist before this country and lead and do it. They everybody was kind of like, hold up, I ain't that crazy, right? Yeah, I'm a little off, right? But I'm not that off. I can't be that guy. Because they had a little bit of sanity, I guess, right? Like George W. Bush did a lot of fucked up things. Okay, we have not forgotten about Katrina, no matter how many paintings he do. But he was never going to go in that direction because he was not that kind of white guy. Okay? Not that kind. He was a type, but he was not that type. So here comes Trump, who is rich enough, arrogant enough, stupid enough, dumb enough, all the things, to be like, look, I'm going to be that guy, and I don't care. I will buckle down. I will go 10 toes down on this shit. And so they're like, perfect. So they know everything. There's no convincing. They fucking know they were there. Like, I don't get how all this shit on Twitter. This is a very compelling testimony. The American people, blah, blah. They listen. People have made up their minds what the fuck it's going to be. There might be a small group of undecided folks, and maybe I just don't know who are those invisible people. Who are these people that are like, oh my goodness, this hearing is going to change my mind? No. What the hearing will do for some people, a small, select, stubborn ass fucking few, is that they will have to now pretend like they've been shocked. Because the truth of the matter is they was enjoying the big lie as long as the big lie was never, protected. I mean, well, let me clarify. They were defending the big lie as long as there was nothing that could outright completely discount it. This hearing is now discounting the entire big lie in a way that they have to acknowledge some of them. So you'll see a couple people act like they have this newfound sense. But there's a part of me that also feels like the country is kind of moved on from it. Yeah, there's some people that's watching it, but I feel like there's like confirmation bias, right? It's like, if I'm watching it, all I'm going to be tweeting is like, yep, knew that. Yeah, look at that. Oh my goodness, Trump's a liar. Like, I already knew this though. I didn't need the hearing for that. And then the other group of people who are watching it are sitting back like, going to deflect, right? They're going to say things like, well, what about this motherfucking inflation? Okay, that shit happened back in January 2021. It's 2022. What did Biden president, okay, what he been doing with the money, right? So there's a lot of deflection, distraction going on. And that's what I think has been making it hard for people to, it's just a lot. It's a lot to process. So I don't know. I just don't know how effective it is. I think it's good that the history record are going to make sure it's recorded on the, that it's there in the records, whatever. Okay, cool. Only slight hope, if I have any hope in this damn process, is that once they have done this process, we know there's a criminal, right? It's illegal. Then the Justice Department needs the Justice Department and go ahead and criminally charge Trump for this behavior. And then once the Justice Department do that, then I'll be like, finally. Then I'll be like, okay. Because all these subpoenas and all this other shit, I don't care. I need an indictment. If this hearing does not inspire the Justice Department to indict Trump and lead to his conviction, if it doesn't lead to that, if he isn't criminally charged, if he does not go through that, then I think all hope is lost. I think it is. I think all hope is lost. I mean, let me just say that the hearing, the chair, Liz Cheney, all of them, they're doing a good job. The black man who's chairing this from one of the Carolinas, he's doing a great job. The issue is I just hope that this do what it's supposed to do, which we all know what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to instruct and inspire the Justice Department to actually pursue criminal charges for Trump. If it doesn't go there, then I don't know. But the clock is ticking. Y'all got 2 years. Because this man is pretty much trying to run for re-election. I think it's very clear that this man wants a re-up. And you got to take him out the entire equation. The Republicans are literally banking on Trump running for re-election. And there's some people out here that's hoping too. This has to hurry up. Because if it does not, I don't know what's going to happen in 2024. Because it's been made clear that Biden is running for re-election. We'll see. I heard what AOC said on the air. They asked her, and she was just kind of like, we'll see what happens. I kind of feel like that too. We'll see. I would hate that there would have to be a contested primary between him and someone else. I just would hate that Biden would have to be primary. That would never be a good look. I don't think it will happen, but I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm worried. I don't know. But I just think that the Justice Department do what they do. I know it's not his fault on inflation, but if people are thinking that, that's not going to help. But there needs to be something. Student loans, something. He needs to pull a magic wand. He needs to do something because we're going into a recession, and it's becoming clear that's what it's giving. It's giving we're headed to a recession. These bear markets, I don't want to be an economist right now. I'm not going to get into all of it. You are seeing what's going on. It's giving recession, y'all. It is giving recession. So I just, put some money in some, save some monies. But, everybody want to do hot boy summer, hot. Listen, stack your money, put some money up. Because I don't know. I'm seeing all this stuff, all these people, all this cryptocurrency investment shit. Just cut it out. Cut it out. Get some money and some cash. Get some gold. I don't know. Just looking around, and I'm like, And what's crazy is that, like, you could tell celebrities now because the way they're acting with their money. It's interesting what celebrities do around these times. All these celebrities doing commercials. I was hearing about this phenomenon. All these celebrities just doing any little everything. They're not just waiting for movies. They're like doing commercials. They're pushing a lot of products and shit. They're stacking their money up. You're not seeing that, but that's what they're doing. And there's something to be said for them trying to shove all this cryptocurrency and investment shit down the throat. That shit about to all collapse. In my opinion, something's going down. But it's interesting how celebrities are moving. Because I'm seeing people do stuff that I'm like, you're just doing anything for money. Because they know shit is about to get real. It's just too much. Too much is happening. That's what I was saying earlier. It's just a lot of, why is all this, why is everybody shoving, why is everyone dropping all this right now, this summer? Because it's about to get the fuck real in the fall. It's getting there. You can tell because it's like everybody's trying to sell so much right now. Why is everybody selling so much? Why is everybody trying to, get people all buttered up right now? Because they know what's coming. And they don't give a fuck about us. The elite wealthy class do not care about us working class folk. They don't. So they're doing some interesting things right now in the market that's telling on themselves. Not that I'm into conspiracy theories, but I'm just like, maybe Beyoncé, they was like, look, Beyonce, you done moved and maneuvered through the pandemic. Look, you better drop something, you better get it fast. Because, hurry up. This got to come out before the summer ends. And then I also heard, and again, not to know if it's true or not, but that she's not even trying to do big old arena stadium tours. Fans want that because they're not reading. No one's paying attention. But she's been saying this. She's going to do, apparently, allegedly, that she's allegedly going to be doing these, like, tours in Europe. And she's going to be, and that makes sense because she just did that, that whole interview with British Vogue. It's like, okay, she's over there in Europe a little bit. So, and then she's in LA. They did the interview in LA, but it's like, it's interesting where she's doing. So they're saying she's doing like smaller venues, but she's doing like these very intimate pop-up shows, but she's not doing a full-fledged out world tour. And that makes sense because she is scared of COVID. Don't get it twisted, okay? Beyonce, next to Oprah, do not play with COVID. I know he didn't put it in the story, but he probably got tested before, after, during, mid-bite, when he was eating that cream corn and all that food that she had an interview. But, like, clearly she's reading the room, too. Like, everyone's like, Drake sliding his surprise album. Why? No one asked for it. We're going to get to this in more in-depth later in the show. But it's just like, So, I say all that to say that there's a lot going on right now. Stay woke. That's what I would say. Stay woke. But notice, I always tell people, notice how rich people act in economic times will tell you what's going on. They're not going to tell you because they don't give a fuck about you. That's why people like me have to study them and then tell you so that you can make smart decisions in your life. But look how they're moving right now. They're very much thirsty for a check. And they're doing all kind of things that are outside of their character to get money, to get capital, because they know their financial people must be telling them something's going on, which is why they're doing all this crazy batshit stuff to try to push a product. It's very, very telling. When I think about just like, look at, again, these celebrities and commercials, all these weird deals, like even Nicki, like Nicki's doing something with some project, some joint collaboration with I think like a online casino gambling thing or whatever online. I'm just sitting to myself thinking, that's interesting. Why would, I mean, Nicki's not putting out any music. Cardi hasn't put out any albums. I feel like they're hesitant to put out any mainstream music because I think there's a part of them that's like knows like, this economy may not be sustainable for me to do a full-fledged tour, album rollout in this type of way. It's just very interesting how people have been acting. That's why, read the room, y'all. Read the room. So speaking of growth capitalism and hot-ass messes, Juneteenth is just... people out here, y'all, let me just say, people out here are just doing whatever. So I've been interviewed for a lot of stories. I was in the Washington Post, Wall Street Journal interviewed me for a story around this Juneteenth. I had a tweet that went viral about a week ago talking about just how I felt like the country has ruined Juneteenth so much. I just think that the Texas roots, native Texans, folks that lived in Texas, let them have Juneteenth because it's their holiday. It's not ours. It's not the country's. It's not America's Freedom Day. It's not the Black 4th of July. It's not all of these hijacked things. And as a Texan, someone who grew up in Texas most of my life, who celebrated Juneteenth, who went to the Juneteenth Jubilee in Galveston and grew up in this environment, what the fuck are y'all doing? This is not it. This is not Juneteenth. This is not what it's about. This is not what we should be doing. Period. Cut it out. I've been waiting to say this. I've been holding it on for so long. And I'm just ready to just say, all of you all are ruining Juneteenth. I had my mic, the thing that covers the mic, I just almost knocked it off. This has been frustrating me for some time. Now, let me just say this. There are people who are really intentional observing Juneteenth for what it really represents and what it is, which was a day. Okay, let's break this down. There was the Civil War. Okay. When the Civil War happened, there were people in the North that were emancipated, right? They knew about their freedom, and many states on the East Coast, right, were pushing the 13th Amendment, which, was emancipation, which freed slaves. So they were ratifying across the state. They ratified it in Pennsylvania. They ratified it in Massachusetts, other areas. They did it. They knew immediately. However, in Texas, folks in Texas did not know, okay, the black folks in Texas did not know that they were free. Okay, so months had passed, and finally, a colonel comes down to Galveston and tells them that they're finally free, which was on June 19th, 1865, which is the day. That was the day they found out, which is how Juneteenth happened. And history books will tell you that in 1866, those black freedmen celebrated in some type of way. But it was a special, unique moment in history because several things were understood. One is that all black people were not freed on the same day in this country or at the same time. It also speaks to the fact that the South had a very entrenched obsession with slavery. And even to be clear, there were still people apparently that did not know they were free until the 1970s. Go read this up. Go read into it. Go look into it. Go look this up. Go read this up. That there were actual individuals in some plantations that did not know that they were free until like the late 1960s, 70s. Yes. And there was a movie called Alice with Keke Palmer. I don't know if it came out yet or if it's going to come out, but they explore this in this very historical fiction note about, I don't want to tell it all, but go look this up. Go to YouTube and look for the trailer, the Keke Palmer trailer of, I think, Alice, I think that's what it was called, but of this cross intersection between these freed people, these enslaved folk that find out they're free, and they go into the real world, and then they go back to wreak havoc and vengeance. But that's the film narrative. But anywho, there were people in the 20th century, the late 20th century, that were still living as slaves that did not have any awareness that they were free. That just took the air out of me. And there's just a lot of people that have to understand that so much of our history, no one talks about Juneteenth. No one talks about that, or talk about why that was a unique experience. So the reason why Juneteenth is what it is because it's celebrating. It's a Texas holiday because it's specifically about Black Texans and their experiences. Now, in the 70s, right, Texas makes it a Texas state holiday in the 70s. So this is like about over 40 years ago. They acknowledge at that time in Texas that it's a holiday to be observed. Now, people will tell me that other cities like Chicago and Milwaukee and Buffalo and all these other places have Juneteenth celebrations they've been doing for years. Absolutely. Completely get it. And part of the reason why is because we know about the Great Migration, and some of those Black Texas natives migrated up to the Midwest and other parts of the country, and they took that history and that legacy. Yes, it can continue. However, what we've seen happen in the past 2 years with federal holidays and vacation and holidays off and all this shit is that the meaning has been completely lost. And not just by white people and white corporations, right? So yes, Walmart had the ice cream. Shame on them. Boo, boo Walmart. But there are also a lot of Black people who don't know anything about Juneteenth across this country that have also hijacked it and have also exploited it and have also ruined it. And so one of the ways they've done it is that through commercial capitalism. People are out here using the wrong colors. So let me tell you what Juneteenth looked like to me when I was growing up as a child. It looked like going to the Juneteenth parade that was hella Black, okay, that centered Black people, that was Black by default. There was no need to say support Black business on Juneteenth. It was just a common understood thing because the only people that was at Juneteenth parades were mostly Black people and a couple of them who had, white partners and things of that nature. But this was a very Black holiday. Black folks doing them. It was nothing like super fancy in the sense that there was not this like Macy's Thanksgiving parade energy. It was very, very much so Black folks coming together, organized together. Yes, they got sponsorship money and support, but it was very Black, the everything. So there was like this beautiful car brigade of like cars that were decked out. This is what I remember vividly. Were decked out. There was Miss Juneteenth. There was like this pageantry to it in this very fun, but like super local way. The food was great. One of the customs of the food was that it was very good Southern soul food, but it was very emphasis on eating red food. So it was like watermelon and strawberries and food with hot sauce. And it was all about red foods. And that was a part of that conversation around freedom. The colors were red, white, and blue. There was its own Juneteenth flag that had a starburst in the middle, and the whole point of the red, white, and blue was to redefine that this was our freedom. This was our Freedom Day. Black Texans, their families, their descendants, and so this was what this holiday represented, and it was fun, and it was cool. It was a different world. And I remember very much so what that meant about freedom. My stepdad was born in Houston. I was born in Chicago, but I, had family that lived in Arkansas and came through there. And so, I grew up most of my life in Houston. So this is the Juneteenth I knew. I don't know what Juneteenth looked like anywhere else in the country, but that was the experience. And it was different and it was okay. And what's funny was that when I came to Philadelphia in 2010, there was no Juneteenth buzz. I mean, there were some pockets of Juneteenth folks or people who were trying to make Juneteenth something, but it wasn't like locally embraced here. And that was okay because in my mind, it made sense. Like, what are you all celebrating? You weren't freed. You were freed much earlier. Like, black freedmen in Pennsylvania were freed in February of that year, not all the way down until June, right? And that matters. History matters because we have to acknowledge the symbols of the Liberty Bell, right? The Constitution, all of those things. Why is it that Black history gets to be mainstream, stretched out, remixed? Like, why don't we fucking appreciate what makes Juneteenth and do something else? Like, why do we have to take something that is for one aspect or one particular area and then feel like because it's Black people, oh, fuck the history, fuck rituals, we're not going to celebrate it the way they celebrated it, we're not going to acknowledge it, we're just going to mainstream and stretch it out. No one else, like, why do we do that? We don't have to do that. Like, and here's the issue, is that there are we call them emancipation days. There are emancipation days all across this country in different states. So if you're a native to Pennsylvania, there's the day that Pennsylvania ratified the 13th Amendment was in February. That technically would be your Juneteenth. Don't call it Juneteenth because it's not in June. Maybe it's February 10th. But like, have your own emancipation day and celebrate the uniqueness that comes from where you're from. Like, that's just what it is. Because you're taking something that was local and you're ruining it. It's like if O'Doon Day is in Philadelphia, right? What if somebody tried to do O'Doon Day in New York and they called it O'Doon Day? It's like, that's not O'Doon Day. O'Doon Day is a Philadelphia-based festival celebration. You could call it something else, but don't call O'Doon Day because O'Doon Day has its own style and flavor. And you just say, well, why do we have to do that? Y'all gatekeep it. It's not called fucking gatekeeping. It's called historical preservation, you dumbass. Historical preservation. Call it that. It's not gatekeeping. It's historical preservation. And I think it's funny that when Black people try to historically preserve something, we're insulted because no one wants us to have anything or to have nuance, right? That trying to create monoliths is not helpful. Trying to commodify everything for people in their fucking identity crisis does not help the situation. It doesn't. It's just serious. It's like a bunch of people that just want to, I'm tapping into my Blackness. I want to figure it out. You can figure it out. You can figure it out. But what you don't do is you don't appropriate. What you don't do is you don't hijack. What you don't do is take something and fuck it up. You're fucking up Juneteenth. It was a beautiful, rich, Black holiday for a group of Texans and those descendants across the country. Now you're trying to make it something that you can put on a t-shirt and sell. You're disgusting. You're gross. And it's a lot of people fucking it up. I just have to call it out. Like, why, and it's July 4th, and Visit Philadelphia doing this whole freedom thing. Let's be clear. This idea of connecting Juneteenth on this freedom ride to July 4th is horrendous. Horrendous. It's not a good idea. It's highly problematic. I never noticed what they were doing until this year because I feel like there was not much Juneteenth explosions of events and things on this level across the country until this year because now people are going outside. Like last year, there was a couple little things. 2020, it was still fresh, but I feel like now that 2022, everyone's going out, people are getting familiar and getting adjusted to this pandemic. Now everybody want to roll out all of these like plans and stuff, and it's tacky. It's very tacky. It's very cringy. It's very gross capitalism. It's very performative. And the issue is, it's not it. It's just not it. Like they've been looking for these gross corporations have been looking for opportunity to capitalize off of Black people. And just when you thought Black History Month wasn't enough, here comes Juneteenth and trying to, and they're saying they're doing it to celebrate Black people. They're not. They're finding ways to, one, check off a diversity attempt, but then also to find ways to make money and to connect things with their things. Linking Juneteenth to July 4th is horrendous. Like, I don't know who's on Visit Philly's marketing team. I know some people visit Philly. Best believe I'm going to reach out and have some conversations with these people. But like, everybody needs to tell them this is not it. This is not it. There's ways to celebrate Black folks, and this is just not it. Let me just say how I know that this is not really well researched and is also cringy. The Juneteenth colors are not the Pan-African colors. I don't know if anyone's actually taking the time to do history, read, and do research. It is red, white, and blue, y'all. Let me just say that to y'all. All this pro-Africa, this is a Black American celebration, first of all. So the African colors, I don't know why you all would do that unless you're just completely ignorant or you really don't know what the fuck you're doing. I think it's both. So take some notes and scribble. The Pan-African colors for Juneteenth is completely inappropriate. It's not accurate at all. And again, you don't care about Black people because you just think we're all the fucking same. You think everything we do is the same. And if there were other traditions with that amongst white people, right? You all can get St. Patrick's Day correct. Mind you, St. Patrick's Day is not like a real holiday, but you will sit up and you will make sure you have the right green and pinch people for not wearing green. But you can't get the colors right for Juneteenth. And that's a real fucking ass holiday. Interesting. Y'all know how to put hearts, for Valentine's Day. Again, another made-up holiday. I like it, but still. It's just interesting that no one's even trying to maintain any accuracy here. It's like, okay, you can try to, put something together and celebrate, but you don't got the colors right. Y'all don't even know what you're doing. You ain't taking no time to sit the fuck down and read one good thorough article about customs and traditions. You're just not even trying. You just said, look, we're just going to just make this whatever we're going to make this, and we're going to get some Black people to co-sign it. Let's take some Black businesses that are struggling and throw some money at them so they can feel good, and let's promote all these people's businesses so that they can feel good. It's an opportunity for you all to just celebrate Black people without giving a fuck about the history at all. That's the crazy part about it, is that we love you, but we don't appreciate your customs or your history, your nuance, and your diversity. We see you as a monolith. Take our money. Take some of this charity we're giving you because we're not giving you anything next month and the month after that. How about that? See you in February, and we might see each other again in June. That's what this is telling me. That's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm sensing. I'm insulted. I'm annoyed. And I am going to tell these people those things. Okay? And you all could help too. Use social media. Ask questions like, why the hell did you all use red, green, yellow instead of a red, white, and blue? What Black Texas groups or folks that you communicate in contact about this? Why are you even doing this way? Who thought this was a good idea? Why do we have to link the freedom of Black slaves with 4th of July when those are two different fucking holidays that do not actually complement each other? Do you understand how problematic that is? This is not what I wanted. This is shit. Let them know how you feel. I mean, if anything, just tell them it's historically incorrect and insensitive. You could say that. You could say that. Like, you could literally just say that. I'll say the rest of the things, and you could say the other things. We'll say it all together. But it's horrible. And it needs to stop. And I feel like it's upon me to make sure that next year, the way they did it this year, they don't do it like that next year. Goals. That's on my list. I hope that I can be able to convince them not to do this the way they've done it. Because it's just cringy. And again, there's so much been going on in the world that everybody's attention is scattered, right? Because I wasn't even paying attention to what was happening with Juneteenth in Philadelphia because I was so caught up with the shit going on across the country that I didn't even realize that Philadelphia was fucking it up too. So I can't even, I was like, by the time I was able to start looking at stuff and promotions, I was like, oh shit, damn, it's already in motion. And let me tell you one thing that happened. So that really had me cringing. There's this concert that was at the African American Museum in Philadelphia that happened this weekend, and the headliner was Talib Kweli or whatever. A problematic rapper. He's a longtime hip hop legend. He's a part of other entities, and I'm not a fan, but he's been doing a lot of music and things of that nature. But there's been stories and reports about the fact that Twitter, has permanently suspended him. And a lot of that was because there was alleged that he repeated multiple violations. And has been accused of harassing um, this black woman who was 24 years old. She was a student activist. Her name was Maya Moody. And she basically, there was articles, especially in Jezebel, that said, quote, that she became Kweli's obsession after a discussion about colorism in hip hop went left. And there was a lot said at the time. She said, quote, at the time, she said, I am grateful that Twitter took action against this abuse. However, I am disheartened and disappointed with how long it took. She said to Billboard at the time. She said, I understand that Kweli has a big platform, but I have seen Twitter accounts with smaller followings suspended for far less than targeting and harassing someone for 3 weeks straight. Moody said that the delayed response from Twitter to Kweli's many posts about her, quote, enabled his over 4 million followers to harm her, noting that the rapper has continued to post what she called defamatory things about her on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. It was a lot. I remember when this was happening on social media. Though Twitter would not detail what led to the suspension, Jezebel reported that it came after Kweli began incessantly tweeting at Moody for 12 hours in one day, she reported, chronicling over 200 tweets directed at me, even after being blocked several hours ago. It is wild. This happened, y'all. This happened in 2020. This happened 2 years ago. And I remember when this was happening, and I remember speaking out. I remember people speaking out just about what was happening, but this man just was doing the most. And there's tons of articles and reports. But anywho, he's headlining this Juneteenth concert situation. Again, they just said, let's just bring the hoteps. But they just really, again, why they didn't do they research? Did they look into this? Like, what the fuck? So I just simply tweeted that I didn't even get into what the tea was or what I had heard or what I had witnessed on social media. I just simply said that, Juneteenth, that he was headlining this concert and someone should tell them why this isn't it. I didn't say what the it was. I just simply said that. It was not a viral tweet. It was a simple tweet or whatever. Well, okay. Because I've been waiting to say this, and this is only for the podcast because I haven't really discussed it because I'm seeing something. But it's proved my point. So Talib or whatever gets up. He sees his tweet. First of all, I don't know how he saw, but I guess he's probably one of those people that has a burner Twitter account and he probably obsesses over who talks about him or anyone with any platform. Like he's like paranoid because it's very telling. So he basically, and let me be clear, this is a 46-year-old man, which is even more cringy. He screenshots my tweet. He puts it up on his Instagram. And he has thousands of followers that like the post. And some people from Philly I saw like the post. And I saw that. I just want you to know I saw that. And, that's all I'm going to say. Interesting. But none of you all, by the way. You all are good people. But anyway, he sees this tweet and he loses it. Okay? He loses it. Okay? He completely loses it. He is going off. He's like tagging all these places that I write for and I work with. I mean, it's just nuts. And he's like, this man is trying to take food away from my family and this, that, and the third. And I'm just like, wait, really? First of all, y'all know how I tweet. That tweet was like, there's mild, spicy, mild, medium, spicy, burning hot. That shit was ginger. Okay? It was ginger. Which is below mild. Okay, that shit was ginger. That was a ginger tweet. Because I was looking like, first of all, what is going on? First of all, this tweet don't even got that much energy. I had just posted it. Like, it was just panic. So he's like, tweets this, tags me. And then, of course, his followers, they come in with homophobic stuff. That's, okay, so for people who saw my Instagram post where I shared this DM about someone saying me being heterophobic, and I was like, where the fuck did that come from? That's where the fuck that came from, because this nut tagged me. His followers, which he does, it was funny, it wasn't a bunch of followers that went crazy, which was interesting, because he's not that popular. It not at least amongst the crowd. Like, his crowd wasn't that extreme. Like, y'all know I've been doxxed by some of the worst in the business. Y'all know. See, and it's funny because when you don't know who you're dealing with, then you're going to try them in ways that don't make any sense. So like he's never like Tyler does not know who I am, clearly. And he might need to Google and find out. But like I've been through this, bro. I know how this go. Like we don't play these games. But like he's having this whole meltdown. And I was like, must have been how Maya felt. Like this is what he do. Like he literally something's wrong with him. Something's very wrong with him. Like it's because to me it's just like, and I said this because I went all up in those comments. Oh, I had some time to address some shit, right? But like, first of all, my whole thing was when I first reacted to that tweet, I actually was saying it wasn't it because I was over the Juneteenth celebration. Like, why is this guy headlining Juneteenth parade? Why are we doing this in Philly? It wasn't even about any of the other stuff. Like, I had distantly remembered that, but like, I was just so turned off by all this Juneteenth fuckery that I wasn't even tweeting about, well, I guess what we find out he thought I was tweeting about, which is crazy. I was just like, this ain't it. Period. My fucking opinion with a gift from Bernie Mac. That was it. But no, he tweets it out. So he's tagging mutual followers and being like, you're friends with this fraud, which I laughed. I was like, me, a fraud? Okay, that's hilarious. He's like saying all this stuff and all his followers are in there and they don't know who I am. So he's like, they're like, oh, he's mad that he can't be like you. Okay, wonderful. They're just saying like dumb stuff. Like I'm so familiar with shit like this. I'm like literally writing a book about shit like this. I'm like, what the fuck? So it's funny to me, but it's like kind of like, wow, you're fucking weird. And you're like weird. So I was trying to be a voice of reason, more so for the fact that I wanted people to see how I was articulating to him how pointless all this was. So his whole argument in his head is that I was attempting to counsel him. And he wanted his followers to see that this evil man, me, of course, is trying to cancel him and he won't get canceled. And I'm just sitting here like, what? So he feared, I guess, that with my tweet, that they were going to not allow him to perform and he wasn't going to be able to feed his family because heaven forbid this millionaire needs more money and that he was going to, this is going to hurt him. I'm just like, oh my God. So that's all he did. So I said to him, first of all, it's a fucking tweet that no one read. You made the tweet viral by sharing it on your page. Thank you for those extra followers. Like, thank you for like making more people know who I am at a time when I'm selling a book. Because I wasn't even stunt queening. Like I was just telling my opinion and yet, now you got people knowing that I have a book and some of those people ordered because it kind of boosted up on Amazon. So I guess thank you for the promo, I suppose. Like I didn't know that there was a Hotep contingency of people that would be interested. But hey, I mean, look, we take everybody. So it was weird because I was like, you did the complete opposite. You responded to me in fear that I was going to cancel you. You thought I had the power to cancel you. That's cute because I didn't think I had the power to, nor was I trying to, but go off. So I'm sitting here like, okay, so you're mad about this tweet that had no traction, this tweet that only had like 30 likes, I think a couple of retweets, this tweet that did not lead to any press, this tweet that you took and put on your page that got thousands of more views. So more people knew about what I said than I said. Like you definitely took my message and you put it out there. And then people who didn't even know what I was talking about or what they thought I was referencing to, because all that was ambiguous as fuck by design, you decided to bring the conversation up. And I'm sitting like, look here, like you're putting words in my mouth and you're overthinking and you're in your feelings and you're bothered and you're so bothered. Like, sir, calm down. Like I'm here in my mind, like you really went and looked up what I wrote and you internalized it and made this bigger than life thing. And I'm sitting here like, sir, you're doing exactly what you're fearing that's going to happen. Now there's attention and it's going to, and yes, your fans are responding, but there's a wider swath of people that now are looking at it and now finding out things about you that was at one point kind of calming down. So you did the complete opposite effect of what you wanted to do. Because quite frankly, now I'm on my podcast talking to my listeners about some of the stuff that's been reported, and now more people know, and they probably were fans of you before, and now they're probably not going to be, or probably thinking about you sideways. Dumb. Somebody should wait for my book to come out. We talk about situations like this when celebrities actually put their foot in their own mouths. Like this guy literally made an issue out of nothing. You could have just sat there, promoted your damn show, mind your business, and chunked it up to the haters. Trust me, there are people out here that be talking cash shit about me on social media somewhere. Do you think I'm going to sit up and raise them platform? Do you think I'm going to sit up there and give them attention? If you're no politician, no high profile person, quite frankly, I really don't care. But there's people out here that obsess over that kind of stuff. They're like so into it. So it's like, okay. Well, long story short, he was not canceled. He performed his concert. He made his money, and he's taking his ass back to New York or out of Philadelphia. So everybody played themselves. Not I, but he did. Congratulations, you played yourself. Congratulations, you proved my point that free speech can exist and people can say what they feel without everyone always trying to create an avalanche effect. I can say that you're not it. You can still make your money, do your show. And at the end of the day, two things can exist at the same damn time. So, congratulations, you played yourself. It's just interesting that they think this is how cancel culture works. It's not. Trust me. When I want to cancel something, I want to cancel something. I'm not even checking for you. There's some people that's checking for you, but like, you're mediocre at best. He was really not it for the headline. They could have really done a better job with the artist they selected. Maybe their budget could take him. Maybe he is struggling to get deals and bookings the way he was acting. Maybe he really thought that my little old tweet was going to take food from his table. Who would have thought? Maybe it's a lot of things. Maybe he's just kind of delusional. Maybe he's obsessed. Maybe it's that thing that I tell you all about these types of men where they only target these men like him only target black women, young people, and queer people. Because it's so funny because there was a straight black man who literally compared him, right? Who also had a verified account that compared him and said this is worse than Sean King and the other guy who's like all over the place. That Emmanuel Acho guy who's so fucking annoying. Like, this is who he said. You think he called this dude out? You think he was giving that man that smoke? His followers were trying to tag the other guy, and he wasn't responding to that. So it's very funny, like how these people prioritize what they prioritize, right? It's always going to be black women and black queer people. It's never going to be black straight men. They're never going to do that with them. All these tweets over the years, and you choose mine, I'm not dumb. You saw that rainbow flag in my Twitter bio, and you felt like this is going to be the type of person, vulnerable person, that you can do because you know what kind of files you have, and these are some of the beliefs you have. You won't say that out loud, but there's a reason why you chose me. There was a bunch of people. Like, because I even looked and said, well, let me see what other people are saying about you. Other people were throwing shots and saying things, but you chose me. That was a reason. And then we found around a book about cancel culture, it fits your narrative because you want to play a victim. So now we have millionaires out here looking for any opportunity to act like they've defeated being canceled when no one was canceled to begin with. Like, you guys are whack. Go take a nap. Relax. I had fun telling them to relax several times. Like, relax. Relax. Look at that. He did all of that right. So, hopefully he can go shut up somewhere now. You made your money, you're good. Live your best life. Don't worry about me. Because let me tell you, you ain't gonna be sitting up harassing me for 12 hours straight and doing all that other shit. Because you've already been permanently banned off of Twitter. You wanna be banned off Instagram? Like, come on. Let's not. Be an adult. Be an adult. Like, adulthood allows people to critique things and say they're not fans of something and leaving it at that. And to interrogate every single person or cherry pick people that you want to target because it didn't hit you somewhere or your feelings got hurt over a tweet. What the fuck are you doing? And this is what I'm telling people. There's been a lot of conversations about young people on Twitter and social media and how the effects of social media on young people. Y'all, I'm worried about the effects of social media on older people. Because the way that older people cut up on social media is wild. Like, they are wild. You've seen it. You've seen that group, that geriatric group of folks or grown folks, grown folks, let me be clear, because I'm grown, but the grown folks putting their personal information on the internet, their personal business, like literally setting themselves up to get robbed or get exploited. They're doing a lot trying to flash, and they've also have gotten off on this mindset of being hip, trying to be hip with the young folks, doing the same stuff that we're doing, even though we kind of are a little bit more strategic at some point of it. But they're just doing some things on the internet. I'm like, you too grown to be doing that. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing it? Okay, if kids are impressionable, what the fuck are you? Like, I don't understand it. I've seen a lot of stuff. People keep talking about the harmful effects on young people. I'm looking at the harmful effects on these older folks. Because the way that they overshare and overpost and I mean, it's bad. It's bad. I'm like, ooh, this is not it. You think this is it, but it's not. You're literally putting your entire information on the internet. I know way too much I know where you live. I know I can tell, listen, it's not good. It's just not good. I'm going to leave it at that. It's not good. And then wrapping up on my Juneteenth special. Not this episode. We're going to keep talking about Beyonce. Of course, we got Beyonce and things lined up. This is a mega episode, y'all. But it's the 4-day weekend, so you guys are going to have extra time to listen to this, and you're going to love it. Because by the time you listen to this, you're going to be like, yes. I love when y'all shout out my podcast on Instagram. Y'all know who y'all are, and y'all be telling people to listen. Because we really go in on this show. Let me tell you this situation that happened to me. And I'm going to tell this, and this is see, some stuff I can't like just put on Facebook or Twitter. Like, it's like I only going to put it on the podcast because it just makes sense here. Because if I put it anywhere else, it just, some stuff I just know that this is a more intimate crowd, even though it's like everyone and mother listening, but it's also like, you know how it goes. So let me say this. There was a liquor brand, and I'm actually going to say liquor brand, Diageo. So Diageo, I guess, reps this tequila called De Leon, which is co-owned by Diddy, P. Diddy. Yes, the guy who won't grow the fuck up. So P. Diddy, I guess, is a co-owner of this tequila. A shameless plug. I guess I'm plugging them, but I'm really not, right? It's shamefully plugging them, but like, you get what I'm getting. So anyway, Diageo in Philadelphia, they have like, I guess, liquor promoters and all these other people who try to create events centered around holidays and things like that. They did something for the Chinese New Year. They just do stuff to try to promote their products and push their shit. Well, I guess the last minute they decided they want to do something for Juneteenth. And they asked an organization I'm a part of if they were interested in being a partner with them for Juneteenth. And I'm sitting here like, I'm confused. What does this mean logistically? Because you're asking me like literally 3 days or 4 days or before this event. You're saying partner. I don't understand. They wanted us basically to put a couple of people who were leaders within the organization to go to this event that they had, the W. Yes, for those who know, it's that event. I don't know how it turned out. I didn't see much, but I wasn't going. And it was to celebrate Black and brown influential groups and people. And they were going to share the banners of the organizations that partnered within the Black organizations on a banner and help drive up their membership. My organization doesn't need any of that. We need support, right? Support, like you donate, support, money, resources, whatever. But anywho, so he's like, you all will get, give us a list of people you want on the list, and we'll have them for a VIP experience to go to some of the rooms and try some of these select cocktails from De Leon. I'm like, the fuck? And then also, spread the word about the event because they were selling tickets to the public. I'm like, no, y'all not asking Black organizations to basically push product and basically be banners for y'all to push this fucking ass tequila on Juneteenth weekend. Tacky! T-A-C-K-Y. Tacky. My best friend Jamarcus knows that I always say tacky to about somebody in our circle. Not in our friend circle, but someone we know that do things that are tacky. I say tacky. Because they're just so tacky. This is tacky. Right? To me, if you're going to celebrate a Black organization, like if you're going to play that game, first of all, what does that have to do with Juneteenth? This is not it. But let's say I entertained it. To me, it's like, okay, we are a $1 billion liquor, brand, right? we're trying to do Juneteenth event. We're going to ask these organizations to go out. How about you said to them, you know what? We're going to have a free event for black folks, for the community, right? We're going to bring some people out. We're going to celebrate some black organizations. We're going to cut a check and give to support these groups because, that's what we need to be talking about, right? Reparations and shit. Let's just say that, right? And that's how we're going to show up and support. Not tell me that you want me to push tickets for your brand and that the reward I get is free entrance to this event that you're ticketing and selling to promote this liquor. What the fuck is that? That's not a real partnership. That's not a partnership at all. That's using us and using our actual branding and reputation to do it. Absolutely not. So I declined it. And I was just like, when you have newer things and things that make more sense, things that are more timely, something like that, like give us a call. But like, this is not it. This isn't it. And I felt bad for the brother because I feel like he was in his head sent as a middleman. But you club promoters, bottle promoters, liquor sponsors, side gig, middle people, stop. And these are people in our own community, okay? Like, stop pushing product every fucking, like, stop it. This is fucking Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Black organizations need fiscal support and resources, not free parties that you're throwing for us, and that's it. Like, listen, folks can get stuff sponsored and shit. There's nothing to a boss. But when you representing and having brands with that level of money and that level of energy, everything cannot keep being a shakedown and a shakeout. Like, it's a fuck. We're about to head into a recession, y'all. Like, what are we doing? So that just really turned me off. Other things that turned me off this week. So let me just start by getting into this real quick. Okay. Herschel Walker, since we're talking about things that are not black, well, things that are black but not excellent, I suppose. Herschel Walker, this man is running for Georgia Senate. He's a former NFL player. This man's been lying by his record, and it's been a hot mess seeing him. He's going against Reverend Raphael Warnock, who is the incumbent right now, one of the few black Senate candidates. It's wild. So he's got the Democratic nomination, but he's going against Herschel Walker, who's black, who has a Republican nomination. Well, this man who built a whole reputation criticizing black people, yes, he's one of those, talking about absentee fathers in the black community, yada, yada, yada. Well, he has a son who I guess is gay, black gay son named Christian Walker. But it came out this week that he doesn't have not one extra, not two extra, but three extra children from extramarital children outside of his marriage, outside of his whole endeavor. This man has 4 children, but for before this month, and as of the recording of this podcast, this man has 4 children. He has had 3 children outside of his marriage that we didn't even know he had. And apparently it all came out this week. And his campaign acknowledged and admitted it. Next to all the other things he's lied about throughout. Lied about service he ain't done as a veteran. Just has been lying his ass off. But the crazy part is that in spite of all that lying, this man may actually still have a shot of winning. So it's a lot going on. But Herschel Walker, child, see, this is what I be talking about. It be the ones like that that's talking about folks and absentee fathers, all that crap, but be the main ones out here in these streets. Like, I just think Herschel was never planning to have a political future, and he kind of fell into it, but he didn't get his ducks in order and everything in order to make sure all that was going to get straightened out, okay? Oh, nasty man. I'm not a fan. Clearly, I'm not a fan. But that brings me to another interesting conversation. The Democrats are fighting again in Pennsylvania. So several stuff has happened this past week with the Democratic Party in Pennsylvania. Polls have come out. Fetterman is got a nice lead ahead of Dr. Oz, which is good. He has a nice lead. And he hasn't been campaigning, because of some of his health issues, but he's supposed to be getting back on in July. Oz has been out in these streets, of course, campaigning hard, but Fetterman still has a lead over him. So that is pretty good, because once Fetterman really put the pedal to the metal and start getting back out here, he's only going to do even better. So I like what I see there. But interesting enough, Shapiro and Doug Mastriano. Now, Doug is the guy the Republican gubernatorial candidate that's going against Josh Shapiro, who's the Democratic nominee. Doug is actually, I think Shapiro is ahead of him by 4 points. He's doing worse. Fetterman's doing better than Shapiro, is what I'm saying, as far as their respective races, which has people shocked because the hearings are going on. All this talk about Doug's involvement or connection to the insurrection, and yet he's not that far behind Shapiro, who's really been running clean and narrow. So this is very telling. And you know what? I will say this. I knew this was going to be a situation. And it's funny because the Democratic Party, yet again, listen, Doug has had a contested primary. Shapiro did not. Okay? Shapiro did not have a contested primary. So Shapiro pretty much was gaining this time. But what's funny is that people really thought that his influence was going to shape up this endeavor. It was going to, because he didn't have a contested race, he could have time to focus on his campaign across the state, and that he would do better in the polls. He isn't. He's better than Doug, but by 4 points. That could change next week. So there's some real conversations that need to be had. But personally, like I said several months ago, and I'll say it here, is that Fetterman, Shapiro, Austin Davis, right, the lieutenant governor candidate, gubernatorial candidate, they all three need to be like Destiny's Child with three members, okay, Beyoncé, Kelly, Michelle. They need to be DC3. They need to be a tight unit together because I really believe that all three of them need each other. Fetterman needs Shapiro. He really don't. But, let's be, he really don't. But, he could use him more so in helping to raise up some of these very bitter, stubborn-ass moderates, many of whom don't even live in Pennsylvania, that's even voting this election, so who cares? But some of them in the party who are a little still, not enthusiastic, right? So they're going to vote for Fetterman, but the issue is that they're not standing him out. There's still some fractures in the party where even though they're going to vote for him in the polls, they're not doing their part to really cheerlead for him like they should. This man has won the Democratic Senate nomination. You all need to be out here putting your fucking bygones aside and getting out there and going hard for him. And that needs to happen for Shapiro. They've already done it for Shapiro. The party likes Shapiro. But I'm going to tell you why I have some thoughts about that in a minute, why that might be a little questionable. The party needs to be out here going hard for Shapiro. For Fetterman like they do Shapiro. And Shapiro, all of them needs to come together. They all need to come together and get behind an idea. Period. They all need to unify and get behind an idea. Because right now, I'm not seeing that happen right now. I'm not seeing enough support for Fetterman. I'm just not. I'm not seeing this wide swath of support for all these candidates. And also these candidates supporting each other. It's time for them to go out now and support each other. They need to go to events. They need to, kind of just rep each other and show out for each other and say, look, I like this person. We like each other. There needs to be more of that unified front. Because right now, we're not seeing that. And that's very telling. That's very telling. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how this all plays out in the end. But they need to come together, and we need to see how this works. So it's going to be interesting, but some other things have happened that makes me, wonder what's happening, because there also seems to be some other fighting, quote unquote. So this weekend, okay, The Pennsylvania Democratic Party had their elections this summer with their convention, and basically there were talks of all kind of issues going on. There was some stuff about bullying and bribing, black voters, all kind of stuff. But long story short, the fight for chair was contentious. So here's what happened. State Senator Sharif Street, who was the vice chair of the Pennsylvania Democratic Party, he has now been elected chair. Now, some of y'all may think, well, that makes sense. Going from vice to chair, that makes sense. Well, it does, but then it wouldn't be, because the whole crazy part is that there's been a fight, and there was a fight, and it got messy. It's between him and Josh Shapiro. Shapiro wanted someone else. There was a heated battle on Saturday for this position. Now, Shapiro pushed for a man named Jerry Lawrence from Delco, Delaware County, which is where Shapiro is, from. He's the party's the Southeast Caucus chair. The vote was 174 to 138. Sharif Street is the first black person to ever lead the party in Pennsylvania Democratic Party history. So he's made history, but it was a lot. It was a lot. Street was campaigning hard. He says he's going to unify the party behind Shapiro and Fetterman. It was a lot. He said that they just had a family exercise, he told the press, but he also wanted to make it clear that they're still a family. Now, you all know Sharif Street is the son of former Philadelphia Mayor John Street. And it was interesting because there's been a lot of contention. It's been a lot of contention for a while. Now, some of the problems that happened is that Shapiro basically told people that he supported Lawrence, who is white, by the way. He supported him because he felt like the party should not be led by someone who is currently in elected office. So Sharif is currently a state senator. And he also felt like that it would be a conflict of interest between that person's political ambitions and what the party would need. Okay, Josh Shapiro. AG Josh Shapiro talking about political ambition. But I mean, he wasn't leading the Democratic Party in Pennsylvania. Sharif has literally, I'm not saying I'm mixed on it. I mean, he is what it is, It's just interesting because, to a certain extent, I could see why no one elected official leading the party, because it is a clout, right? And let's be clear, as you all been following this podcast, when Sharif Street was vice chair, he, was looking at a U.S. Senate slot at one point, and Malcolm kind of took that. And then he was potentially looking at a Congress seat, and then Brendan Boyle, stayed where he was at. So, that was a clear shot at Street working with Republican legislators on a revised map, because it was obvious that he was, moving that map basically to try to create a way for him to potentially win. And it's like, come on. Yeah, come on. But he's the chair. I mean, I guess it would be politically incorrect for me to say it's underwhelming, but I just feel like he's going to have to earn his weight. You're the chair. Okay, you got the position. What you going to do with it? Because you can't be the guy who cries wolf. Are you going to step up and run for a real seat? And not use this as a way to run for seat? Are you going to really make change? Because, I mean, you endorsed Conor Lamb when your own delegates couldn't even, figure out who they wanted to support. And that kind of made the state party not look too good. So it's a lot of interesting issues. But, he's going to be happy that he had this historical moment, I guess. But it's also interesting that Josh Shapiro did not get what he wanted. Given that he is going to be, what we hope to be the next governor. So there's some interesting inroads with that, to just say the very least. It's just going to be very interesting how they play that up. And then also my piece about ward leaders that came out of Philly Mag about how these ward leaders are really getting into it. Like this ward leader stuff is just juicy and interesting, and people's been asking me to talk about that for a while, but I just wanted to know what the hell was really going on. So, long story short, my stance on wards is after much research and also following these trends for the past every 4 years. We need to open these wards up. All wards in Philadelphia should be open. All 66 wards needs to be open. For people that understand what wards are, I get it, but we all should know. So here's an education for folks who don't know very briefly. So every 4 years, you all have to elect committee people. Philadelphia is made up of 66 wards. Wards are basically respected units, political units. Basically, they're areas all across the city that are like basically areas that determine or define political and tax purposes. So basically, if someone's a tax collector and they want to understand what wards are, they track pieces and units of the city is broken down into these particular units. Also, political units for areas, define spaces and areas that is easy to track votes and things of that nature. That's what wards are. But for within each ward, wards have a ward leader and committee people. Committee people are elected every 4 years by voters. So when you voted in this recent primary, you saw a slate of people that were running for committee people. You voted for them for your respective party. If you're a Democrat, you voted, or Republican, you did, whatever. Independents don't vote in primaries. They only vote in general elections. But committee people get elected during these primaries. So you voted for those people. Once those people got elected, then what happens is they have their own convening. And in that convening, they nominate a ward leader. Now, a ward leader is not voted on by the public. We don't vote for ward leader. And to be also clear, a ward leader does not have to be a committee person or have served. They're preferred to be, but they don't have to be. And people don't know that interesting fact. So what happens then is that they elect a ward leader. The ward leader is tasked with basically fundraising money for the ward, for the party, to help make major endorsements of party leaders within their city. So they help elect and vote for that. They represent their ward across other wards and across the city. They help really get out the vote. And they also, in large in part, they make endorsements for candidates on behalf of the ward. And they also recruit other people to be committee people and volunteers. And committee people in large listen to what their ward leader says, at least they sometimes do. And their goal is to help make sure that polling locations and voting is done right. They're almost like honorary block captains, except they do a little bit more important work. So they help, get votes, they get voters, they help people go, they get out the vote, they make sure people are registered to vote, they help tell people information on election day, they monitor the polls. That's what committee people do with volunteers. So these are, from what I know, committee people are technically not paid as a job. It's an unpaid position, but there is sometimes street money and money that goes in and gives them incentive on election day. Maybe they get fed food and water and things of that nature. So there is some of that, but they're not like permanent full-time jobs. These people are not like elected officials. So let's talk about closed wards and open wards. Most of Philadelphia's wards are closed, which means that the power goes to the ward leader to make the big decision on who gets endorsed. So let's say, for example, that I'm running for city council. I don't got to talk to committee people if I'm running for city council in a closed ward. Fuck what committee people think. I just have to be good with the ward leader. And if the ward leader likes me in a closed ward, I'm going to get the endorsement. Committee people step aside. That's how that works. But even more juicy, if you look up ward leaders, a lot of the ward leaders are elected officials. So Kenyatta Johnson's a ward leader. Bobby Heenan was a ward leader. Now his replacement, because he's convicted, and he's no longer a council member anymore. But he was a ward leader. His replacement is now a ward leader. Cindy Bass is a ward leader. Derek Green. There's other ward leaders across, right? So a lot of these ward leaders are elected officials. Okay, which is even weirder because it's like, why the fuck do you have all this power? Just be elected official. Why you gotta be a committee person? Like, why you gotta be a ward leader? Like, they're not trying to be committee people. Let's be clear. They want to be ward leaders. They don't want to be committee people because it's like, what the fuck? But they really want to be Pennsylvania delegates, right? They want to have sway in that, but they don't want to be committee people for the city. No, they want to be ward leaders because they're elected, and they oftentimes win their ward leader seats because they have that respective political power within their ward, right? It's so fucking too much. So yes, they hold these world leader positions because then they get to make endorsements for candidates. And so that's the real juice of a world leader. They get to endorse a candidate on behalf of a ward. And so you can start seeing where the problems lie here, right? You're about to figure out in a couple of minutes, I promise. A couple of seconds, actually. So the problem here with this whole ward leader situation is, as you can imagine, what happens in closed wards where the committee people do not actually support what the ward leader does or support who the ward leader endorses? Closed wards do not allow committee people to have that kind of power. So this became a real issue in this election cycle because a lot of wards across Philadelphia endorsed Connor Lamb, even though he came in third out of Malcolm and out of John Fetterman. Malcolm Kenyatta and John Fetterman did better than Connor Lamb, even though Connor Lamb had the majority of ward endorsements. People were trying to figure out why was that the case. That was the case because committee people were not able to have say in those endorsements because a lot of those wards were closed. So if elected officials, which arguably ward leaders are part of the Democratic establishment, right, the Democratic machine, if you're a part of the establishment and in the establishment in the party in the Democratic State Committee, that huge conglomerate is backing Connor Lamb, then all those respective ward leaders who could be arguably out of touch of their committee people would make said endorsement. And so that is why, in spite of all those ward leader endorsements, it happened that way. What's funny is that most open wards, okay, wards where committee people had to say, most of those wards went in favor of Malcolm or John Fetterman. So it tells you that it's not that voters weren't trying to signal what they felt like. It's just that the Democratic machine tries very hard to skew voters to vote for candidates that they don't want to vote for, which they don't vote for. And then we figure out, then what the fuck were these wards for? What is this? Why are we doing it this way? So my piece that I wrote for Philly Mag, which I would love for y'all to read and check out and share and spread the word, is I'm arguing that wards should be open. Because if you make wards open, then you will have a better outlook and picture of who's going to win these elections. Because right now with closed wards, you don't know who's going to win. They can get all these stupid ward endorsements, but they mean nothing because it's not the ward that literally endorsed you. It's literally the leader that endorsed you. You didn't really get a committee of people, of voters and outreachers to do it. It was literally one person that liked you, that had the power to say yes, and they're acting like they're representing an entire group of people, but they're really not. So these wars have to be open. But right now, folks don't want to because they want to hold on to this power. But the power really means nothing because those committee people and other people behind the scenes are going to go and still push other folks. And they're going to let their communities know how undemocratic it is. So, for example, there's a situation going on with Jenny Blackwell. She lost her committee person election in her ward. She lost her committee person election, but she still was eligible to run for ward leader. She's now going to remain ward leader even though she even won her committee person election, which she's eligible to do. But the problem is that allegedly they were trying to put the progressives in said ward was trying to push for another candidate to get that opportunity, but they were shut down allegedly. So there's going to be some court battles and stuff. But I just say all this to say that all wards should be open. All this closed ward shit is undemocratic, and that's why these elections are not matching what the voters want, because they're not actually listening to the voters, which are more so committee people, because committee people voted for them, and committee people clearly represent the voices of those people. Just saying. A lot to talk about. Now, finally, the moment you've been waiting for. I'm joking. Beyoncé. So Beyoncé is having an album, Act 1 Renaissance. Comes out July 29th. Just like that night that early morning in Philly, right? This week, it was like weird thunderstorms and crackles that woke me up at like around 5 in the morning this week. I was like, oh my goodness. Once I was up, I just couldn't go back to sleep. So I look on my phone and I'm like, oh shit, Beyonce done dropped a album. And it wasn't an album, it was actually just a preview. Which I was surprised because, Beyonce's notorious for making her fans just wake up and be, just like she just drops, how she do. Like, but I'm happy that she's doing some of a semi rollout. She's given us more than a month to get ready. I know Amanda and Jim Marcus, if they're listening to this podcast every week, I know they're going to look at me because I'm going to say this. So she dropped 4 box sets, that are like pose 1, pose 2, pose 3, pose 4. And we don't know what that means. I mean, we don't know what those boxes are going to look like. You just have to pick them. You have to pick 1 or 2 or whatever. And only Beyonce can like sell people on a mystery box. All the boxes are the same, have the same concepts, like the album, the t-shirt, all of that. But they all are going to probably have a different quote unquote pose. So pose me in like, the design or look of whatever she's going for is going to be different. We don't know. We won't know anything. We don't even know what the album cover looks like. She's just been playing on it. We think it's going to be a dance album. Somebody heard it, right? The black editor-in-chief of British Vogue heard the album and says it's nostalgic. It's giving nostalgic. It's taken to his childhood. It's music. It sounds fun. It sounds exciting. They want the girls to dance again. I'm here for it. So, people ask me what pose did I buy? I bought all 4, guys. Okay, don't listen. I know. She got me. I just couldn't help myself. I was like, I couldn't resist. Now, here's the thing. 9 times out of 10, I'm just there for the t-shirts. I don't need the other stuff, so I'm going to keep 1 box, but to the rest of you all, I will give you all the boxes, but you can't have the shirts. I'm going to probably have all 4 shirts. But the other boxes, I will probably give away and give to people and things and folks the boxes may sell out, or you may have not gotten one, or maybe you forgot, or maybe whatever. I'm going to probably give away the other boxes once they come in. I don't know. That's tentative, but I bought all 4 because I could and because I just couldn't resist the urge not to know. Now, I don't recommend everyone else to fall for that kind of gross capitalism. I'm going to just argue that I did it for research purposes because that's what I need to know. I just have to know what what all 4 look like. And I didn't want to regret. Like, I bought the first pose and I was like, oh, there's someone bought the 4th one because of 4, the number 4 and what it means to Beyonce. I just said, fuck, I couldn't risk it. I just bought 4. The capitalism bug got in me. Man down. So I bought all 4. So we'll see. As far as world tour concert stuff, I don't think she's going to do it. Like I said earlier in the podcast, I don't think she's going to do a world tour like that. I don't know. I just think that if this recession hit, there's no way that she's selling $1,000 tickets. I mean, people clearly say, take my money. And let me say something about that. Hold up. Let me say something to you podcast listeners, because some of you all, which I know my fans and my followers are not doing this to me, but let me just say this to some of you all. The way that y'all was showing up and finding mystery money to buy this Beyonce box set for $40, I hope that your independent music friends, your creator friends, your friends that do plays, events, and stuff, I hope that you run and get stuff like that for them too. I just want to keep it 100. I hope that you're out here doing that for your friends who got events and got things that's close to you. Because if you're not, shame on you, you're a bad friend. And to the friends, and let me say this, because I could talk my shit, because when I dropped pre-sale orders for my book, y'all made it a #1 bestseller in new releases in its category. So I know that y'all show up for me the way y'all show up for Beyonce, even though y'all don't know Beyonce. But y'all know me clearly. So I appreciate you all for doing that. So I know that my friends are real, because when that day came, y'all sent me screenshots and tagged and promoted. Y'all had it climb up the charts. That's real loyalty. So thank you for that. So I'm not even criticizing, because I know that all of y'all who bought the Beyonce box set definitely pre-ordered my book. Yep, I don't hear any objections. That's correct. Thank you. But for some of you all listen to this podcast that did not do that for your other friends who got music, like I stand for my friends' music. Okay, I stand. My best teacher Marcus is a recording artist. He drops great beats and bops and songs, instrumental on my podcast. I love his music. I'm a fan. You got to do that for your folks. You got to. And you should do that because you like it. It should connect with you more. I tell him that. He'd be like, who's one of your favorite artists? Well, there's you. I'm real about that. Support your friends and their music and their projects. When they have stuff like that, you got to go hard and stand for them. Because it's nothing like telling your friend, oh, again, not my experience, but telling some of your friends, I hear some of y'all, man, you was on Facebook the other day or on Twitter the other day talking about stuff is high and you got to budget accordingly. But then Beyonce drops this and then somehow you find magical money or you're going in your savings account for Beyonce. And that woman's a billionaire. She don't need your money. But you couldn't do that for your friend, or you couldn't show up to dinner, or you couldn't do something. You couldn't go to their birthday. You couldn't do whatever. You get your shit together. Get your shit together. All this, oh, I got a Beyonce concert budget or whatever, but then you got friends who got other shit going on. Don't do that. Don't be that person. That's all I'm going to say. I saw some of that on my timeline, and I was just like, And not to me, but to other folks. I'm just like, I'm not trying to be messy or stir the pot. I just have seen some folks that got some friends. It's just very telling. It's just funny how people find money. See, this is why people don't believe that Americans are going through it during this inflation. Because somehow Beyonce can drop all this in inflation, y'all can find the money. I don't lie about money that I have and I've worked for. But some of y'all be out here acting like y'all lesser than, but then somehow Beyonce pulls it. I feel like Beyonce needs to do a stunt every tax season. Like drop stuff in February to see who gonna really show up and show out. And listen, the government probably tracking these boxes to the homes and addresses with the zip code. She probably working with them. I don't know. Knowing her, listen, let me stop. I'm just saying. Who knows? But speaking of which, I mean, listen, I will say that I'm happy that she did do a rollout and she did give us a date and things. Because let's keep it 100. We're getting old, Beyonce. We grown. Okay? Your fans are not like a bunch of 18-year-old. I mean, there might be a couple, but your fans are pretty much young Gen Xers, millennials for sure. Definitely older millennials for sure. Like Beyonce's a millennial. Like Beyonce is the artist of the millennial generation, and she also has the younger Gen Xers, but she is the artist of the millennial generation. Like Gen Zers, y'all know Beyonce, but y'all know Beyonce. Like millennials know Beyonce. She is like the artist of the millennial generation. And also Taylor Swift, I would argue, is also the millennial generation artist. Billie Eilish and Lil Nas X are like, and Olivia Rodrigo, they're artists of the Gen Z generation. Michael Jackson is definitely Gen X. And of course, millennials know him, but he is the artist. Madonna, him, and Janet are the artists of the Gen X generation. Those are their artists. That's just my, and also some of the early millennials, like the more older millennials too. But to me, I feel like they are more so the Gen X's crowd. But Beyonce is a millennial artist. Her fan base, like, listen, Self-Titled came out in 2013. It's been 10 years. So it's like, look, we're not doing surprises like that. I mean, if you want surprises with concert stuff, sure. But if you're really trying to have a really massive debut on the charts and really not, and also have people prepare a little bit more, you're going to have to give us a little rollout. You don't got to give us like a long-ass, drawn-out drop album, but you got to give us a slight little rollout. And she has. Beyonce has definitely done that. She has definitely given us a nice window. I think there's several things I think Beyonce is doing right now. And this is me theorizing. Definitely going for album of the year contender. Definitely think she's strong. Definitely think she could win. I know I should lose faith in the Grammys, but I don't know. She might have a chance this time, y'all. I think Adele's album 30, it is a good album, no complaint, but I feel like it does not have that cultural gravitational hold that the previous two albums she won for had. Like Hello just grabbed us, okay? Easy on Me's cute, and it might get a Song of the Year win, and it might get a Record of the Year win. But I definitely think that I could see Beyonce finally getting it. I think we've been primed for it 2 years ago at the Grammys when she swept up. I think the Academy's ready. There's been some rule changes. There's been a lot of changes that sets this up in a way that I think this is finally Beyonce's moment. She's got to get it this time. I think this is something. She's 40 now. She'll be 41 in September 4th. I think this is the end. Act 1, act whatever. This is the end. Like, we're the end of the grand Beyonce career in music. I don't think she's done. I just think that this is it. Like, she's about to go into that, what I call Janet Jackson territory. Like when Janet dropped like All For You, we all knew, it was getting there. I'm not saying that she will never do music again. I just think that Beyonce is like ready to put out what she wants to put out. I think this is gonna be the best thing she's ever done. I still think Lemonade is her magnum opus. But this could be it too, because this is what I'm happy about with this project, and I'm going to say this, and it might be controversial, but I'm happy that this will be a project that isn't centered around any drama or salation to draw it. Because although I love Lemonade, part of the Lemonade album's endurance and has always been connected to the reveals of Jay-Z cheating rather than the music itself. I mean, we talk about the artistry, people do talk about all the other aspects, but it's centered around overcoming trauma and all those themes. And I think this record is an opportunity for her to just put out some really great music, to really have a full focused direction that is personal, but not centered on that as the byproduct. Even though I definitely think that Lemonade is a phenomenal album. One of the best albums of the past decade, was the best album of the 2010s. To me, personally, was the best album, period. But I think with this is her being able to be as musical, as creative, as fun, as artistic as she could be, and not have to be on this themed sense that limits what she could do with her imagination. So I just see imagination here. I see excitement here. I see growth. And this is what I think an album she's making is an album that she could have done any point of her life. I think she had to go through so many different experiences, so many different genres, so many different styles and aesthetics. I think she's grown as a person. I think intellectually, artistically, creatively, that she's now going to put it there. And this is going to be like the best fucking thing ever, I think. I think. I'm excited. And I think this is what is shut down album of the year worthy. I mean, Lemonade definitely was, let's be clear. But this is it. And I think that this is it. This is literally it. Act 1, and she might give us Act 2. Somebody says she might do 4 acts. I don't think she's going to drag us out like that. I think she's either going to do type 2 albums subsequently together, and that's going to be it. And then we probably will not, we can probably not expect this type of rollout again from her. Like if she does other songs or features or things, she might. But she's at that point where I think she might want to transition to other things. I mean, Ivy Park has definitely taken her from us musically. And she's also dabbling back into movies again, potentially. So, she has other things she wants to do. I mean, at 40, she can literally reinvent herself and go a different direction in her career and be completely okay. So I'm excited. I think this is smart. I think she has it. I'm looking at other album of the year contenders for this year. I think if I was in the Academy, because nominations will be coming sooner than you know, with the cutoff date is in September. So definitely Beyonce's on that list now. She's in that conversation. Beyonce, Kendrick Lamar, Adele for 30, that Silk Sonic album, even though we don't like Silk Sonic like that, clearly they have to be in conversation after winning record and song of the year and winning like 4 fucking Grammys. Harry Styles, Harry's House album might be in conversation. And let's also be clear, the Grammys have opened it up for like 10 albums can be nominated for album of the year. So I also think it's going to help Beyonce because I think, one, you don't have Taylor Swift in the conversation. She just got nominated for Evermore. And so, Olivia Rodrigo, Billie Eilish. I mean, Lizzo's coming July 5th. So, her album Special, it could probably slip up in there. But it's only so many albums that can get considered. And we're at a close timeline. Like this deadline is about to hit. So most of the albums, the major contenders, I feel like are already out there. Like Kendrick's probably gonna get the rap category. Um, who else? I don't see Future, but maybe Future. Who knows? I mean, it's up for conversation, I suppose. Um, yeah, I think yeah. I don't know. I mean, is there a rock album that's come out that's really been grabbing people's attention? I mean, I don't know. But there's the Grammys do always put some oddballs in, but they've also been kind of on trend with like what's really been popular. So Bad Bunny could be nominated. Remember this episode because I feel like my predictions are pretty strong. But I'm really looking at Beyonce. I think Beyonce did a good job because I feel like the energy from this album is going to be right on time for nominations. And Adele's 30 album is kind of, I ain't gonna hold you, it's kind of faded from the conversation. Like no one's really talking about Adele. It doesn't have that long, like it doesn't just have that huge, rollover effect. I think there's some nice distance between that album. And by the time nominations will come, the album would have been a year in consideration. Now, some of you are going to say, well, that's the same thing done with 25. But Hello just has such a huge impact. Sales wise, everything. And let me be clear, Adele's not flopping at all. Adele's won album of the year twice. But I think we're all ready for Beyonce to finally have her moment. And I think the interviews she's doing, the stuff she's doing, I think she's having that Will Smith moment where, like I told you all, Will Smith campaigned hard for that Oscar. You think that audio book and that book and all that was just for no. Will was hiding for a minute, chilling, and then you notice he started doing all these TV specials. Will was campaigning for the Oscar, and he won. When I tell y'all a successful Oscar campaign, like anything I've seen in a minute, Will was gunning for the Oscar. All those TV appearances, that New York Times bestselling autobiography. I mean, he even came back to Philly, y'all. He barely comes to Philly. Like, he did a lot to try to get that damn Oscar. So, I can't complain with this brother. But the rest of these other artists that's out here trying to push product, I just don't know what to tell y'all. So, speaking of bombs and stuff, and first of all, sidebar, I have to say this. Follow up. So that Jay-Z Cryptocurrency Academy that he's doing with Jack Dorsey, last week I talked about that. Marcy Projects, well, reports say it's not hot. People are like not here for it. Bad reactions. Folks are complaining about him. Folks saying he go back to his community and put some real money and support. They feel like it's performative, exploitative. They're not here for it. Flies were found on the floor. Nobody's trying to do it. It's been a disaster apparently over there. That's what the reports are saying. I read a piece in The Guardian, and folks were just not here for that. And I don't think so. Like, people, listen, it is a recession. We're about to hit a recession, y'all. And what's crazy to me is like, Pharrell Williams, the one who sings Happy, who, sometimes fumbles every blue moon. Well, he did something really great. He paid off the student college debt of several NAACP students from HBCUs across the country. Paid off their student debt, off their loan debt. That's what they want to see. That's it, celebrities. Pay off folks' college student loan debt. Just start doing it. Just start going to places and paying off people's debts, okay? Nobody wants cryptocurrency. Nobody wants this other shit. Do the right thing. Give people some. Support black business. Give some black businesses some grants. Give some people some money. Support people. Make your money stretch. You all are billionaires. Give some people some real seed investment. Support folks. Man, if I was a billionaire, I'd just be out here I would just be in a car just giving money to folks. Just walking down the street. If I saw folks that was going through it, I wouldn't even be videotape. I would just be going places and be like, what do you need? Families in neighborhoods, like, I'm going to pay your rent for 3 months so that you can get on your feet. Because there's a lot of people who are living between paycheck to paycheck, y'all. Y'all know, right? There's people that I hear, like, if you paid their rent for like 3 months, that could give them some wiggle room. Because a lot of folks are not asking to completely be balled out and taken care of. Nobody's asking for that. Folks are asking for just a leg to get their head above water so they could get to a better place. So, like, if I was like a billionaire, if I had a lot of money, man, I would just go out and I would just say, okay, let me go to this neighborhood real quick. I'm going to cover these people's rent. Everybody in this building, this project, I'm going to pay their rent for 5 months. so that whatever they were saving for, they can help get themselves up on their feet. If they need to just relax or breathe or something, right? Or just, do stuff like that. Like, you'll be surprised that many people in this country are not asking for a bunch of handouts or to be completely paid for the rest of their life. Some people just saying, I just need a break because life happens, insurance things happen, medical bills. Like, where are we at with going to hospitals and just saying, let me pay off some of these people's medical bills? There's people out here paying for family members dealing with, illnesses. Let me just pay that medical bill. Let me pay that. That's what I would be doing. I'm not saying people are not doing that. That's just how I would do it. I would really be helping to get people some financial release and economic relief, because people out here are going through it. Going through it. And if I really was, rich, I would use my money to put in campaign races for candidates to make sure that they defeat trash ass elected officials that are producing policies that's going to, continue to set these communities back. Like economic, political power in that type of way. That's what I would do with my money. Jay-Z, call me. For real, call me. Email me, something. Your people, contact my people. Okay? And make sure we don't have Van Jones in the room. Because I will tell you how to use that money correctly. I will tell all of them to. There's just stuff that can be, if you want to stunt, there are things you could do that I promise you, if you did it like this, it would just change the game. Because nobody wants cryptocurrency. Nobody. Like, stop it. So, things that we also don't want. Drake's new album. I'm going to be quick on this. However, whatever it is. Anyway, whatever, however, wherever. I don't know what the fuck it's called. I played it one time, and I said, ooh, you better get it, Drake. Yes, it's giving me house music. I guess that's what it's supposed to be. Here's the issue. It's bad house music. It's not good. It's not a good album. It's no one asked for it. And you know what's so funny is that, like, when Drake decided he was going to do the surprise album with everybody was like, oh my God. I mean, everybody thought he was rapping, but he doesn't want to rap anymore, y'all. He wants to be a pop star. He wants to be a pop artist, even though he's a bad pop artist. Like, this is not pop. It's pop music, but it's not pop music. Kentriata wants his sound back. First of all, Kentriata is a better artist than this. He's a Grammy Award-winning Black queer artist that makes way better house music than this. There's other better house. I don't know. Listen, shout out to Black Coffee for producing this album. You're a great producer, but I know this is not, like, come on. But, I know he made some good money, Black Coffee did. He's also a great Grammy Award-winning musician. My whole thing is, this album is not it. It's duds. No one asked for this. Y'all was trying to get your IG captions. Drake has been giving duds for a minute now. So we gotta be honest. Okay, Certified Lover Boy was also a dud. Okay, this is a dud. Like, these are duds. It's just not, the music has not been good. Scorpion, y'all can admit, no one's playing Scorpion now. It's just, he has not been delivering. He's also an artist of the millennial generation, right? I guess some of these Gen Zers like him, and he likes them too. No comment. But it's not giving. It's not giving. I don't have any high expectations for Drake, to be honest. Y'all know I'm not really like the biggest Drake fan anyway. But my homegirl Amanda was just so excited when that album came out. She was excited about it coming out. And then when it came out, she was just like, okay, that's not really that good. It's not good. It's not. I don't care. Some artists, and then you find out some artists really need features. Like, some artists, I hate when they do features. Like, I hope that Beyoncé does not have Jay-Z on a song on this album. Please, answer your fans' prayers. We do not want Jay-Z on a song. Don't do it. No Jay-Z on this album. Please. We don't need it. I know you love him. That's your husband. I get it. But love your husband enough not to have him on this album. Please. Because we love that he wasn't on Lemonade. And look how great it was. Right? So I don't know. I'm not crazy about, Drake album was a dud. It sounds like Zara music. Someone called it Charlotte Russe music. Y'all taking it back. Y'all remember Charlotte Russe? Who remembers Charlotte Russe? I know a girl who got caught stealing a Charlotte Russe. Charlotte Russe takes me back to my days when I was in Houston, West Oaks Mall, and it was Charlotte Russe, and that was a store that girls would buy shoes. You know how cheap those shoes were because they had up all those little hanger thingies. Like, they weren't even in boxes. The shoes, some of the shoes like the flats were on the hanger thingies, and they were hanging. You just picked them up in any size. That's how cheap Charlotte Russe shoes were. Um, I just remember like going out to the mall with my homegirls. Like, yeah, okay, this is how young we were, right? We when you listen, I'm gonna have a bit of nostalgia. I miss the days where you could go to the mall and like $20 could do the thing for you. Like you could go to the mall and your mama and your parents gave you $20 and you could do something with $20. Like $20 could take you, somewhere. Like when I was growing up, I had, I was like 12, 13, whatever. Go to West Los because I lived right across the street because I was a Highway 6 kid. I lived in Southwest Alief, Texas, the SWAT. And I lived in a beautiful apartment, which looking back, again, apartments, Houston. So my folks now live in Cinco Ranch, which go Google Cinco Ranch, Katy, Texas. But at the time we lived on Highway 6. So there was like all these beautiful apartments and stuff. So we lived somewhere really nice, called the Villas. And right across the street was West Oaks Mall, which is still there. And I just remember being young and like $20. I could go to that Subway when Subway was decent, get a $5 foot long. I could go to a music store, and buy a CD when CDs were being sold. Like Beyonce's trying to bring CDs back, y'all. I got to get a new CD player, because I don't know how I'm going to play that CD. Because even our laptops don't even take CD players anymore. Like my laptop, my Mac or whatever can't even take CDs. So I'm going to have to buy a really good quality CD player on Amazon, because how else am I going to listen to this album? So... Because she didn't even do vinyl. Why you didn't do vinyl? I have a vinyl player. Anyway, maybe she will do vinyl. Capitalist queen is going to have everything. CDs, vinyl, and it's going to be streaming. Because I think it's going to be on Apple and Spotify. And I don't even listen to Spotify. So what the fuck I'm going to do? Guess I'm going to have to do Apple. Oh, girl. Anyway. So it's a lot of things, different things, with the music. And I just could buy a CD. I could go to the movies on a Saturday matinee. And so $5 foot long, an $8 CD, or if it was an old Sierra album, they would sell for $5. No shade, salt in my own eyes. Get that. They get a good movie ticket. And probably have some money for ice cream cone from McDonald's. And that'll be about my $20, $25. Now, you couldn't do that. Like, one of those things would be, like, CDs are like $16 and all this shit now. I remember CDs used to be like $10. A new CD. I don't even think they're doing $5 foot longs. Maybe they are. Maybe it's like $6 now. Who knows? Inflation. Movie tickets are like high as hell now. So like you can't even do movie, dinner and a movie is dinner or a movie if you was on a budget now, I guess. Like everything's so high. So like that now I'm old enough to tell the story of how things used to cost and how things used to be. So yes, $20 can't do anything for me. But I remember those days. But anyway, I remember those days where the girls I used to go out with, we used to go to Charlotte Russe. We used to go to all the stores. Hot Topic. That used to be a hot store. We used to go to all the different stores. I remember Charlotte Russe. I remember 9 West. Was it 9 West? All the weird stores. Heritage. H&M wasn't there yet. Urban Outfitters were. Still is Urban Outfitters around. Zara. Remember Zara? Zara was so cute. Zara was like my store when I was younger. It could fit those clothes. I don't even know if I could. Those clothes are so like thin now and skinny and weird. Oh my goodness. What else was around? True Religion. Remember True Religion? But that was more on the higher end side. But anyway, there was these cheap stores. Claire's. Remember the girls would get the piercings at Claire's? Or the boys would get their ears pierced at Claire's? For like $1 or some shit like that. But they would like get them done without even telling their parents. And I remember eyebrow threading. Like I used to like drop money on eyebrow threading. I used to love that. See, these are things I was doing that I feel like in retrospect was outing me without outing me. But anyway, it was always fun. Anyway, you could do a lot with $20 back in the day. But Charlotte Russe was that store. And every time you go to stores like Zara and Charlotte, it used to be this weird, like ultra fast music. I didn't understand what it was then, but I used to love it. I was like, oh, this is that music I used to hear on Queer as Folk, the original one. And I would think, this is nightclub. This is so gay nightclub music. Which I'm beginning to realize is house music, which is also a very black queer aesthetic. But anyway, Drake has fallen in love with it. There's been a lot of snobs talking about folks won't get it because they don't travel to Europe and this is European music. No, cut it out. House music is black and queer in American culture. Don't even try to Euro-explain this. Drake know what he doing. Happy Pride, Drake. And I'm not saying it to be shady. I'm not saying that Drake is gay. I'm just saying, just cite your inspirations. That's all. Like, did you go to a gay nightclub in Brooklyn or something in New York or Miami or anywhere? Did you hear like there's got to be a story here. There's got to be a queer origin story. It just can't simply be. It just got to be. And I'm not. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I'm just being very clear. There has to be some connection. Like if you're gonna get into a subgenre of music and not acknowledge the history behind the sound, just saying all this sconce whatever shit he's talking about. Please. Okay? Please. So, wrapping up, for real. BT's going gay. They've been really pushing, ever since this Lil Nas X situation with the BT Awards, which, oh my God, is like next week. I'm like, can this thing get over with? I'm really like, it's coming, y'all. It's coming. And it's just like, whatever. So BT's been doing a lot lately. They are doing a marathon of Noah's Ark, which is my show. And I'm like, like they're doing like a marathon about, we're celebrating Black Pride. And it's like, oh, so now you care about the gays. Interesting. Okay. Then they're also pushing this movie on BT Plus called B-Boy Blues, which you've heard in its title because this is the film that Jussie Smollett directed. Yes, that Jussie, who's been all over social media. You know, he was released, not because he was innocent, but because there was an emergency injunction to release him. Because, you know, he whined and screamed in that little jail that he was in for a couple of days. And, like, heaven forbids, he was a mass conspiracy. Now he's been free promoting his stuff. I don't know if a trial's coming, when the trial dates are or whatever. I haven't really been following the case since that departure. But he's been out here doing this celebrity run, pushing this stupid movie that no one wants to see. Well, the movie is now on BT Plus. They've taken the movie, the licensing for whatever. I've seen the film, hated it, and not because it's him, but because it's just not a good film. I kind of said this before. I saw it already when they were doing it at the African American Film Festival, which was earlier this year, and it was a selection, or at least they did it during this film festival. I'm getting my film festivals confused, but it was streaming. So I saw it with a couple of my friends, and I must say, it's webinar. It's not webinar. It's web series energy. Like the acting's flat. One of the actors is from Philly, and look, the sex scenes are cute or whatever, but like you can't drive a movie based on sex appeal alone. Like, okay, you have attractive folks in the film. Okay, but if the lead actor is attractive but flat as hell in his performance, it's kind of like, what are we doing here? And it's so funny because Jamarcus, you remember this guy. We all know each other. We all went to dinner at a certain ex-friend's house back in the day that had bad fried chicken. I'm gonna have to call him and so this is not a story that's gonna go. We're not talking about this story on podcast, but let's just say I've met this actor before in real life, like 10 years ago, very years ago. He probably don't even remember me, and that's okay. But it was it was bad. It was like a blind date. I think the girl who we're no longer friends with, I'm not even gonna name her. I guess she tried to set us up on a blind date. So Jamarcus and I were there, and this guy, this actor, and she was trying to set me and him up on a blind date. But it wasn't like I was asking for it. It was just kind of like she brought him. He's a good looking guy, but like there's nothing there. It was like watching paint dry. Like it was nothing there. I wasn't even interested, but it was just hilarious because it was just like I'm telling y'all this. I wasn't supposed to be telling y'all any of this, but like whatever. It's my podcast. But nonetheless, she tried to set this up many years ago, and he was staying like in the same building as her. They were like roommates or something of sorts. But it was an interesting dinner and conversation, and that I will call my bestie and remind him about that, what happened, and tell him this is the same guy who's in this film. He was in a bunch of other like web series. There's a YouTube show called Triangle, which is this black gay web series is very black and gay and queer. It's a thing, y'all. Like there's a bunch of black gay web series that are like out there for folks because you know they don't put a lot of our art in films and also on TV shows. So there is like a whole like subculture of black
dramas like Chasing Atlanta, uh, G Status, ATL Hustle, which I used to watch obsessively. Some of y'all are like, what the hell is these show? What are these shows? It's a thing, y'all. YouTube is still relevant because there are all these like sub programming that people are finding because you can't find this stuff on TV. Like they just have not opened the door fast enough to put a lot of black queer programming. So then we have to go to web series. Now let me tell you, web series are not always these shows are not always the best production quality, but I just feel like the need for representation makes us like watch it anyway. Sometimes it's spicy, sometimes it's not. There was a web series called like The Real House Husbands of or Housewives of Houston, or something of that nature, and it didn't last long, but it was fun when it was. All I gotta say is that he is one of those types of web series stars. He was on Triangle, which was Philly-based black gay queer stuff, and it was salacious and poorly acted, but it was still funny to watch. It's just a lot of that. And so when I watched B-Boy Blues, I saw that a lot of the talent that Jussie had, he appeared to take a lot of these web series actors because his budget probably was too small to really hire a lot of real known actors. Like he had some cameos and stuff. I don't want to tell too much of the show of the movie. I mean, please watch with an open eye. But long story short, the book is very good. B-Boy Blues. The original book was a classic in the black queer community, in the black queer literature canon. But this movie is just not it. It's just not. It doesn't even do the book any justice. It's just not good. It's just too, it didn't need to be a movie. Or at least not, he should have not touched it. It just deserved better. So, wasn't really a fan. Speaking of other things I'm not a fan of, I definitely want to talk about this on my podcast. It's a little deep. We're going into a deeper aspect. There is this news about this North Philly man killed his partner to stop him from revealing their same-sex relationship, the police said. I've been following this story for a minute. There's a guy named Nasir Johnson. He was 20 years old. He was killed in February by another, and he's black and he's queer, by another black man named Kylan Pratt, who was also 20. And what was sad about this was that we didn't know what was going on. This young, gay, black boy, right? Or guy, I guess he's adult. He's cut up and burned. He's shot and then set on fire. And it's by this guy. And we didn't know what the motive was at the time because it was just like, why would someone shoot and then burn someone and just discard them? Like, this is the most bizarre, brutal killing. Like, what the fuck? And we find out that the killer actually was in a romantic relationship with him and did it because he did not want people to know they were together. It's just, it's anger because two black men's lives are ruined by this. Two black queer men's lives are ruined by this. You killed him in this way because you didn't want people to know. And when I tell people, and I fucking tell people, straight people, that these are not jokes, that there are people in this world who are scared to be themselves because of what they really perceive to endanger them. And I say this while being in my studio and looking at a picture of my husband and I hold hands side by side in this beautiful framed photo. And the fact that we're married and in love, and that I have so much sadness behind that because I think about, like, that could happen to a lot of people. That could have happened to me 10, I'm 30. That could have happened to me 10 years ago. That I could have been Messiah Johnson. And I know a lot of people that could have been. And you just don't know. Like, it's just wild. And I don't have any answers, I guess. But one of the things that I am going to say, and I'm not blaming people for their death because no one deserves to die. But I think one of the things that I want to tell other queer people, and this is in straights, there's two things that need to happen. And I'm going to say this because this is a more intra community conversation, but I know there's a lot of different people that listen to my podcast from different walks of life. But I want to say this, and I want to make this very clear. To the queer, young, single folks out there who are dating, it is time for us to not date DL men. If we are out and we're proud, we need to date each other. I don't want to hear about your femme shaming, your phobias about bottoms and top. Listen, let's date each other. It's healthy for us to date each other. I'm not saying that you can't that I date. We got to date our own because society is not acting fast enough to create a world where people feel comfortable being out. And I'm tired of hearing all these stories of Black, queer, and trans people being murdered and killed by folks that are within our community, that are not out, that are not comfortable with themselves, that fear. We have to demand better love for ourselves. We deserve fucking more. How can I tell you this? Because I can relate to this. I deserved more, right? I deserved better. I knew I deserved better, and I'm telling you, you deserve better. And we collectively deserve better. Because I've seen too many examples, I've seen too many stories, and I'm at a point where it's obvious that Nasser was living his life, he was being his true self, and he's in that world where, and it happens to a lot of us, it happens to folks throughout the community, but it does happen a lot in the Black community, but it also happens with white people too. Trust me, white gays be having their problems too. This is a very unique thing, but if straight people don't get it because they don't fucking get it, right? That there's this notion of desirability that is plaguing our community, and we want to be desired. We deserve to be desired. And a lot of times we're in situations where, and I remember this when I was in my 20s, like in Nasir, where you're going about your business and then there is some straight guy straight presenting, right? That see you and you're just allured by the fact that this man is you're thinking he's gonna risk it all for you, but he's not. He's really not. For him, it's a fetish. For him, it's his gateway to exploring. But don't do that to yourself. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of Black queer men, Black trans women who have been in abusive relationships with the trade. That's been in abusive relationships with men like this. Like, a guy like Kylan Pratt. This is not uncommon. We have seen this. We've heard about this. We know this. And we oftentimes feel like a lot. So I have a lot of emotions about this, a lot of feelings about this. And I just want people to be safe. I want people to be smart. I want people to value, themselves in a way that protects themselves from this type of violence. Because it's important. And like I said, we live in a society where people do not value people enough. And so much is here. I feel so many feelings. And I just think that's what I want to say. It's just, one, straight people, you cannot be an ally if your boyfriend is homophobic, your girlfriend's homophobic. If you can't even check the people in your circle on what they're doing and you're acting like it's just a difference of opinion, you're not helping us. It's time for us to call this shit out. It's time for you all to step up and do that. But also, like I said to my black queer folks, to my queer people who are out here in society trying to live and be desired and loved, it's also a time for us to really fully embrace and love us and us, right? Like literally, like I made a decision many, many years ago that I wasn't going to talk to any more trade, quote unquote, any more DL men, any more private men. I was not going to be anyone's little secret. I wasn't going to be anyone's private boo. I wasn't going to be sneaky linking, whatever you kids call it now. I wasn't going to do any of that anymore because I was tired of being lied to. I was tired of being lied about. I was tired of the embarrassment, the humiliation, the deceit. I was tired of all of it, you know? The dick ain't that good, y'all. It's never that good. It's never that good as much as you think it is. I'm being very blunt, but I'm being very clear. The whatever you think that feeling of being wanted or being desired gives you, it will crush you. It will continue to eat at your security. And at some point, you have to put your foot down and say, you deserve better and you will find better. I found better, clearly. I am in a space with a man who was out and secure with his sexuality, secure with himself, confident, beautiful, smart, brilliant. I'm so blessed and fortunate. And I look at these situations and it just triggers up all types of different emotions and thoughts about, you know, how I got to where I'm today in ways that I didn't expect. But this is just something that I thought about. I was just like, wow. Because I was shocked. I just thought, oh, maybe it's a hate crime, you know? Like, there's a lot of hate crimes out here. It is a hate crime. But I didn't think that it started off with love. Like, could you imagine the person that you slept with in this way, that you loved, that you had these intimate, private experiences with and fun with, and your friends knew that this person would be the person that gave you this joy, could also be the person that would lead to your death. Like, that's just and this guy, right? Both of them are 20. They're young. This man's life is gone. This man's life, this killer is gone. This man is going to be made an example, arguably as he should. This grandmother who raised Nasir, she is devastated. She's trying to move out of that house because it gives her memories. Seeing his picture, it's just devastating. It's devastating, and you know, I can't listen to people make jokes to insult. I'm sick of it. Like, I'm just sick of it. I don't want to hear anyone tell me anything about playing devil's advocate or acting like any of this stuff is okay. It's not. And if you are okay in a world with people that are still homophobic and think they're entitled to be, then what are you saying? Because the way that this cuts at the intersection of my identity is just, it's a lot. And so I don't take Pride Month for granted. Sometimes I hate the rainbow capitalism, let me be clear. But this is why this is why I do what I do. This is why I recognize the power of people seeing my relationship in the way they do. The reason why I make it a point to engage with young Black queer youth specifically, because there is a kid out there like Nasir that might be listening to this podcast and might be in a situation where they're like, yeah, because I didn't have a podcast like this when I was 20 years old. At least I didn't find it. That I didn't have that. And how many more people need that, you know? Rather than fantasizing, you know, all of these, you know, Black queer tropes and stereotypes. Like, let's have real conversations about the issues in our communities and debunk a lot of these narratives, because this stuff happens and then everyone is trying to figure out what's next. So, yeah. Whew, that was a lot. I am sipping on a recess, which is very good, by the way. Highly recommended. My packages came in. I'm in love with them. It's so good. I'm so addicted. It's it does what it needs to do. But in wrapping up, next week is full of surprises. I am excited because there's some stuff I've been working on and being involved with that's finally happening. I'm doing a there's like a black social justice film festival that's in Philly that I'm a juror of. So I'm excited about doing that next week. There's some other cool stuff happening. And I just cannot wait to share it with you all and talk about it and all that jazz. So as always, stay tuned, but always be well and be best. Earnestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.